People can sign contracts with monsters when they time travel, sign with transformed animals, demonic creatures, and intelligent spirits, but I ended up making a contract with myself. It sounds ironic, but it's true. In my past life, I was a member of a rescue team who died in an accident. After death, I time traveled to this fantasy world with transformed monsters and extraordinary human abilities, and in this life, I have awakened my powers. The gemstone contract can consume physical and mental strength to condense the gemstone contract when the target willingly accepts the gemstone. Their soul and consciousness will be summoned and controlled, which should be a powerful ability, but it has a very clear weakness. The male protagonist was admiring his gemstone contract when suddenly a female voice rang out, "Jang Pyeong, what are you doing?" Jang Pyeong smiled and said, "Holding the stone, nothing, so Jang Gyo, do you want some candy?" So Jang Gyo looked at Jang Pyeong with a mocking expression and said, "Who wants to be controlled by you?" Yes, the weakness of this ability is very clear, that is, the creature must fully understand and volunteer before it can make a contract with me. Otherwise, even if swallowing the gemstone, nothing will happen. He fell back and chuckled. Just kidding. In his heart, he felt extremely frustrated, thinking the original owner of this ability is too useless, almost angered to death. Luckily, I transmigrated here, relying on the iron will of my past life to help this body overcome. Seeing Jang Pyeong's frustrated face, so Jang Gyo grabbed his head and shouted, "Don't give up so easily. The world is vast. There will surely be creatures willing to be controlled by you." Jang Pyeong said, "It's easy to say, besides me. Who else would be willing?" Suddenly, a bold idea popped into his head. "Wait, it's me." Jang Pyeong exclaimed, "That's right. Why didn't I think of that before?" Without hesitation, he immediately put the stone in his mouth, leaving so Jang Gyo extremely surprised. "Hey, what are you doing?" Jang Pyeong's body began to react from within, emitting a strange green energy, but it quickly vanished completely. It seems like this method was ineffective. So Jang Gyo was extremely worried as she held Jang Pyeong and said, "Are you okay?" "No, it's okay." Hearing So Jang Gyo say that, she sighed in relief. "Don't do that again. It's too scary." A few hours later, So Jang Gyo stood up and said to Jang Pyeong, "It's not early anymore. I have to go back to the dormitory. Tomorrow morning, I have to report to the patrol team. You don't need to wait for me." Jang Pyeong immediately asked, "Are you really going to graduate?" She turned and said, I have mastered all the knowledge in the books. Next, I can only rely on actual combat to improve myself." Jang Pyeong thought to herself, it's true, joining the patrol team to protect the village has always been her dream. Now she finally has the opportunity to do so. So Jang Gyo turned back, smiled, and said, "Don't be sad. Maybe when you are stronger, we can work together." Upon hearing this, Jang Pyeong seemed a bit embarrassed, scratched her head, and said hesitantly, "Ha ha, it's okay. I'll just go back to the countryside to farm." In her heart, she thought, because of my useless abilities, I was assigned to the farming profession. Although she and Jang Pyeong had been childhood friends, saying goodbye like this still felt a bit reluctant. She really wanted to hug her. While the main character was thinking, he was unaware that there was a person in blue behind him. It immediately entered Jang Pyeong's body and actively hugged So Jang Gyo tightly. Even Jang Pyeong himself could not understand what was happening. Internally panicked, he shouted, "How can my body move on its own?" So Jang Gyo's cheeks turned as red as tomatoes, her whole body trembling. She pushed Jang Pyeong away and hesitantly said, "Stop it. I'll go ahead. Oh." Watching her run away, Jang Pyeong murmured, "Be careful on the road." Hearing this, So Jang Gyo looked back at Jang Pyeong for a moment, then happily said, "You too. So adorable." But that's not very important. What's important is that the male lead has discovered his strange ability, looking at his palm and saying, "I just remembered my body didn't voluntarily hug her. I unconsciously commanded myself to do so." He walked and thought, was it just a coincidence? I have to confirm the level of control. After some thought, he decided to test his own abilities. First, he commanded himself to transform into Superman, but ended up headfirst into the ground. Then he practiced martial arts with moves like the cat roll and many other crazy tricks he came up with. After a strenuous session of testing, Jang Pyeong was exhausted and lay face down on the ground. "I can't do it anymore. I can't stand it. Now I can be sure that I can almost make my body perform any action, but only within the range of what a normal person can do, like flying or transforming into another creature. Moreover, there are movements I have never practiced before that I can perform from memory. So, theoretically, as long as my physical condition is up to standard, I should be able to master any form of martial arts. I just need to find a way to enhance my physical condition to become stronger. But for now, there is still one issue to verify, so I should go back and rest first." The next day, when Jang Pyeong opened his eyes, he was surprised to find himself in the dining hall. "This is the dining hall?" Stunningly, his legs were overcome by intense pain. "My legs hurt so much." That's right. Before I went to sleep, I commanded myself to run in the morning. Did my body actually run this morning while I was sleeping? This makes the male lead extremely excited. Awesome! Yesterday's thoughts were indeed correct. The body can carry out commands in an unconscious state. No one pays attention to oneself. The cafeteria suddenly became noisy when a female student walked in. Student Naksai-yu is here. I am student Naksai-yu. The goddess Naksai-yu. Student Naksai-yu. Good morning. Jang Pyeong thought to himself, Naksai-yu, I remember she is the school beauty queen. Why is she also up early like this? Huh, what's that sound? Jang Pyeong suddenly heard a strange sound, then the space changed into blood red. Naksai-yu transformed into a terrifying monster. Holy shit, what is this? Why can't others see it? This is definitely not Naksai-yu. What Jang Pyeong saw was a monster controlling Naksai-yu, she said in a creepy tone. You don't look so good, student Jang Pyeong. Seeing Jang Pyeong stunned, Naksai-yu kept calling out, Student Jang Pyeong, you don't look so good, are you sick? Seeing the terrifying figure behind, Jang Pyeong commanded himself to stay calm. Stay calm. He then hesitated to reply, No, I'm fine. I had a nightmare last night, so didn't sleep well. Right, there's a class later, I have to go. As he spoke, Jang Pyeong tried to leave as soon as possible, which raised doubts in the monster's mind. The taste of fear, is it my illusion? On the way to class, Jang Pyeong kept thinking, why are there anthropomorphic beasts in the school? How come no one notices them? Am I hallucinating? I must quickly report it to the teachers. As he opened the door and stepped into the room, he was horrified to see an anthropomorphic beast devouring a girl's body. Terrified, Jang Pyeong quickly ran out of the school, sat on the roadside bench, and screamed, Ah! Something is not right. This must be hell on earth. His mind was in chaos. He held up the gemstone contract and said, I remember now. After eating this, I was able to see anthropomorphic beasts. I must make myself normal again. He then continued to chew on the stone, continued to eat the gemstone, and his body began to react, emitting a green light, but this time something strange happened. What's going on? A system message appeared at the feet of the protagonist. Analyzing, successful analysis, replaying image. The replayed image showed an anthropomorphic beast clinging to the head of a man and strangling him to death. Jang Pyeong was extremely surprised. I've awakened the appraisal technique. He then self-appraised himself to see if it was true. Currently appraising older attributes, Jang Pyeong, level 1, summon beast, Jang Pyeong, race, human, mature value, 3 stars, physical strength 11, power 12, agility 11, Jang Pyeong's value for a normal person is 10, infinite spiritual power, gemstone contract talent level 1, through consumption of physical and spiritual power to create items. Once the target willingly eats the life-giving gemstone, their soul and consciousness will be controlled by the summoner. Level 1 effectiveness activated. Jang Pyeong thought to himself, what does the activated level 1 effectiveness of gemstone contract mean? Absolute command. You have absolute lordship over your summoned beast. Your summoned beast cannot resist absolute obedience. You must follow the summoner's orders. The summoner's orders you will faithfully execute. Basic appraisal technique can see specific values of oneself. Can appraise targets. Success rate of appraisal depends on power difference between both sides. Jang Pyeong, amazed, said, This new talent comes in a strange way. Could it be related to me eating gemstones? Back in the classroom, Jang Pyeong continued to think about his abilities, analyzing the current situation, becoming a summoned beast and contracting with himself. 1. I am only controlled by my own contract. 2. Body and mind will not be affected from the outside. 3. Because of the second point, any magic is ineffective on me, so I can recognize the true form of anthropomorphic beasts. 4. These anthropomorphic beasts are all long established very high level. I am currently only level 1, completely not their match. Appraisal failed, successful appraisal, heavenly eternal fox, anthropomorphic beast, mutated fox breed, mature value unknown, level 26, perception distortion talent, can edit the perception of target creatures and forcibly make the target unaware of abnormalities, relying on this perception distortion skill. The heavenly eternal fox can appear to others like two students having a normal conversation, even when eating someone in front of them. Thus, others are unaware of the abnormality, as this is a mind control ability. I remember So Jong-gyu also has abilities related to the mind. Perhaps she will have a way. After class, Jang Pyeong went to find So Jong-gyu to learn about the situation. On the way, he also saw many anthropomorphic beasts. He thought to himself, I didn't expect to see them outside of school. I wonder how many of them there are exactly. At this point, the protagonist did not have enough strength to fight against the heavenly eternal fox, so he simply pretended to ignore them and headed straight to the patrol team headquarters, where So Jong-gyo was stationed. He walked into the reception desk, where a beautiful and enthusiastic staff member approached and asked, "Hello, how may I assist you?" Jang Pyeong suddenly felt tense and awkward as he said, "I'm here to find So Jong-gyo. She needs to report today." She replied, "All right, please wait a moment." To his surprise, the beautiful receptionist was actually an anthropomorphic beast. Jang Pyeong, with his strange expression, wondered to himself as he took his seat. Even in the patrol team, there are heavenly eternal foxes. How can even high-ranking awakeners not recognize their magic? "Jang Pyeong, why are you here?" Upon hearing So Jong-gyo's voice, the protagonist stood up and scratched his head, saying, "I just came to see how you were doing." She happily replied, "No problem. Let me introduce you. These are my teammates. They all care about me." Suddenly, Jang Pyeong's eyes turned dark again, as if having seen something ugly, but still calmly said, "Well then, that's good." So Jong-gyo showed determination and exclaimed, "From now on, I will strive to become stronger. In the future, I will go out to exterminate anthropomorphic beasts and avenge my parents." Jang Pyeong clenched his fist, trying to stay calm, and bowed his head. So Jong-gyo continued cheerfully, "Right, we are currently short of people. Do you want me to introduce you to the patrol team?" Jang Pyeong immediately refused. "No, my abilities won't be of help. I still prefer working in the fields." She appeared disappointed. "That's a shame." Jang Pyeong then quickly left, saying, "I see you adapt well. I won't bother you anymore." Turning away, Jang Pyeong turned off his smile, gritted his teeth, and thought to himself, "Goodbye, So Jong-gyo. It turns out that even So Jong-gyo has been devoured by the heavenly eternal fox. If it were a normal person, they would definitely not be able to bear seeing this scene." Even Jang Pyeong couldn't help but clench his fists, trying his best to leave the patrol team. He secretly thought, "What's going on? Isn't it said that the patrol team is the strongest in the city of Myeongju? How come they were all wiped out?" So Jong-gyo just arrived today, and yet, at this moment, he didn't even dare to look up at anyone, because everywhere was filled with those monsters. It seems like the heavenly eternal fox not only invaded the school, but the whole city. Everyone in the city of Myeongju are livestock raised by them. Jang Pyeong tried to walk normally while calculating. "I have used the appraisal technique to investigate some things. Most of the heavenly eternal fox are of intermediate to high level, but the patrol team with many high-level awakeners couldn't defeat them. I killed Naksai Yu, very strong. My instinct tells me once I use the appraisal technique on it, my location will be locked, so it could be the peak level, even the emperor of them. Other heavenly eternal fox can surpass levels to defeat awakeners, surely because of it. Unlike normal anthropomorphic beasts, heavenly eternal fox have very high intelligence and are good at disguising, appearing friendly with humans, but that's just on the surface. Their priority target is usually people with high strength or high social status. The rest are just a reserved food source for them. Facing heavenly eternal fox head-on is like looking for death, but I can't stand by watching innocent people die like that if I can become stronger." 1 week has passed. At 3:54 in the morning, Jang Pyeong woke up to exercise as usual. Recently, he woke up earlier and seemed to be getting stronger, needing less rest. He has been diligently training and has leveled up. In addition to daily training, he also tried creating gemstones and eating them, hoping to gain abilities or talents like the previous 2 times. But since waking up, the gemstones created using the appraisal technique have been colorless with no effect when eaten. Today they have color again, green the previous 2 times and now purple. Jang Pyeong put it in his mouth and swallowed, thinking to himself, "But this color doesn't really make me feel hungry. Hopefully, it will be effective this time." His body quickly reacted. This feeling is, Jang Pyeong immediately opened the attribute panel to check. Summon Beast Jang Pyeong, Owner Jang Pyeong, Race Human, Level 2, Mature Value 4 stars, Physical Strength 13, Spiritual Power Infinite, Strength 13, Agility 15, Gemstone Covenant Talent Level 2, Effective Bonus Level 2, Awaken New Talent, Activated, Absolute Command, Absolute Obedience, Basic Appraisal Technique, Night Walker, Night Vision, greatly reduces visibility at night, greatly increases action speed, reduces weight, completely conceals in darkness. Seeing a new talent, Jang Pyeong immediately exclaimed with joy, "Truly a new talent has awakened. Now I can investigate at night, and my gemstone contract has also been upgraded, possibly related to my level. It seems that every time I level up, a new talent will awaken, that I will be unbeatable. No time to waste, I must train now and see the effectiveness of this new talent." After that, Jang Pyeong activated the Nightwalker talent and ran outside. While running at the stadium, Jang Pyeong thought to himself, "It seems that my vision is even better than during the day." Suddenly, he noticed a strange ring on the grass and picked it up to examine. It's a star ring. Feeling curious, Jang Pyeong used the appraisal technique, succeeding only on the 4th try. Assassination ring, when worn, all living creatures will unconsciously ignore the wearer. Higher-level awakeners can be immune. At this moment, the image of the previous owner of the ring began to replay in front of Jang Pyeong. It turns out to be Nak Sai-yu, the heavenly eternal fox, and that person he is the owner of the star ring, but in his eyes, Nak Sai-yu must be a human, an enemy of Nak Sai-yu, perhaps. The man rushed forward before he could do anything, and he was instantly killed by the heavenly eternal fox. Jang Pyeong thought to himself, "It's impossible. Nak Sai-yu is a lonely child. With her personality, she can't have enemies. There is only one possibility besides me. There must be someone else in Myeonju secretly fighting against these monsters." While the main character was investigating, suddenly the voice of the heavenly eternal fox rang out, "Tanit." In this situation, Jang Pyeong could only try to hide in the darkness as the heavenly eternal fox ran over and shouted, "The ring is missing. Someone must have been here." It used its super-sensitive nose to sniff around and thought to itself, "There is no presence around. How could it be hidden? I must be dealing with an awakener of at least medium level." Then it left and said, "I must report to Wangja the prince." Jang Pyeong stood behind the wall and thought to himself, "So that's it. They intentionally left the ring here. Returning it now would be even more suspicious. I can only keep it for now." Early in the morning at 5:36, Jang Pyeong looked at the ring and said, "Just now, because the sky wasn't bright. The Nightwalker and the Assassin Ring completely conceal their presence. It seems that power is not only limited to one's own strength, but can also rely on equipment." Outside the dormitory, there were the sounds of the heavenly eternal fox running in, while the main character heard a strange voice that startled him. "Jang Pyeong, who is it? Hide. Who is speaking?" At this moment, the soul of Sojeonggyo appeared, embracing Jang Pyeong and trying to remind them they have arrived. A group of heavenly eternal foxes with a high level were standing in front of Jang Pyeong's room. As soon as they entered, they saw Jang Pyeong still sleeping on the bed. One of them raised their sharp claws and said, "It's him. Let's kill him." Before launching the attack to finish off Jang Pyeong in this critical situation, the main character had to do something to escape. Just as the claws were about to touch Jang Pyeong's head, they suddenly stopped. The prince, wearing a mask as Nak Sai-yu and the leader of the heavenly eternal foxes, thought to himself, "This useless human would have reacted if he was caught in a trap, and I also don't sense the presence of the ring. He is the one who is Wangja, the prince of the heavenly eternal foxes." His subordinate said, "Wangja, why not kill him? He usually goes for a run every morning, but today he didn't. There must be something strange." He replied, "It's not him. He's just a worthless person." With a strong imposing presence, he sternly said, "Don't waste food carelessly." All of his subordinates knelt down and exclaimed, "Yes." And that's how the main character escaped a life and death situation, thanks to the food-saving habits of that demon king. A few hours later, Jang Pyeong finally opened his eyes. Sitting up, he took out the ring and said, "It's too dangerous. It scared me to death. I forgot that I usually go for a morning run every day. Luckily, I managed to force my body to sleep deeply this time without showing any vulnerability. Now that I think about it, I heard the voice of Sojeonggyo just now. Was it an illusion? Oh, why am I feeling so sentimental? I need to quickly become strong to seek revenge for her, so that the heavenly eternal fox won't suspect me. First pretend to live normally." At lunch that day in the school cafeteria, people started gossiping, "Hey, have you heard? Today near our school, the patrol team found a corpse with its back slashed. Moreover, the body belongs to Black Zircon, the renowned #1 assassin in Myeonju City, who was severely injured by him in the past, and the old wound reopened leading to his death." Jang Pyeong listened to the girl's story and thought to himself, backslashed, could it be referring to the person in white clothes? Even the #1 assassin was easily killed. The power of thing that is taking over body Nak Sai-yu is truly immeasurable. This time disclosing the body in public is a warning to the forces confronting the heavenly eternal fox. They will definitely increase their vigilance. I have to quickly find some equipment for self-defense, and after school, I will visit some blacksmith shops. After school, Jang Pyeong went out to look for blacksmith shops, but the shop owners were all heavenly eternal foxes. Jang Pyeong thought to himself, "It seems like the blacksmith shops in the city are all controlled by heavenly eternal foxes." Appraisal failed, appraisal successful. Suddenly, the system notified 100 successful appraisals, basic appraisal technique promoted to intermediate level. Jang Pyeong was amazed and thought to himself, "After the promotion, I can appraise the growth value of the opponent. Anthropomorphic beast, heavenly eternal fox, mutated fox race, growth value 1 star, intermediate level and anthropomorphic beast. Level 15, twisted genius perception, can change the perception of the target creature and force the target to not realize abnormalities. Seeing Jang Pyeong looking at the shop, he invited him. "Hey kid, come take a look." Jang Pyeong declined and left. "No, thank you." He thought to himself, the urgent task is still to find a shop that hasn't been controlled. Arriving at the Soul of Ironwood blacksmith shop, Jang Pyeong suddenly heard someone talking. "I have top-notch goods here. Look at this pattern. Look at this shiny finish. You don't seem easy. If you want to buy, I'll try to give you the lowest price." The old man asked him back, What? What did you say? You said my daughter is waiting for me to have dinner." As he spoke, he blew smoke in his face, making him angry and shouting, "Old man rotten, are you deaf?" At that moment, Jang Pyeong had just entered the shop, picked up the sword, and began inspecting it. The shopkeeper immediately showed displeasure and shouted, "Who the hell are you? You brat, daring to steal my stuff." The inspection result was as follows. One-handed sword, beautifully crafted, of ordinary quality. The weapon is beautiful but useless and has been broken and poorly repaired. Seeing that the shopkeeper was about to snatch the sword back, Jang Pyeong panicked and shouted, "Wait, this sword is going to break." Before he could finish his sentence, the sword snapped in half. This infuriated the shopkeeper, who unleashed his power and shouted loudly, "Holy shit, you dare to ruin my good thing. Do you know who I am?" The electrical power within him surged out violently, even tearing his clothes. He then shouted, "I am the direct disciple of the fastest person in the world, the mighty the Flash. Watch this." With that, he used lightning speed to circle around Jang Pyeong. The speed was so fast that it created numerous illusions which were like clones of himself. Each one that hit would cause damage. Against such overwhelming force and speed, we only heard a swift slap sound. Jang Pyeong merely used a slap to make him fall to the ground and said, "Is that all?" The shopkeeper clutched his face and trembled, saying, "You young man, lacking martial ethics." Attribute inspection. Name, Ryu Boguk. Race, human. Growth value, 1 star. Level, primary. Awakener. Rank 1. Talent. Unrivaled tyrannical soul essence that shakes heaven and earth. Any technique used will have a powerful effect, but only the user can see it. Excessive use will cause the user to become immersed in their own world, unable to escape. He hugged his trembling face and said, "You better watch out for me in the future." Jang Pyeong sighed silently, thinking, he came to make fun of me. When Jang Pyeong wasn't paying attention, he immediately launched a sneak attack, the perfect opportunity to strike discreetly, and immediately the massage salon was filled with lively sounds. After wearing him out, Jang Pyeong said, still trying to sneak attack me, who is the one lacking martial ethics after all. Suddenly, a girl's voice rang out, "I've only been out for a while and the salon has become so lively. Did you come by yourself or to let me escort you for a while?" As she spoke, the girl kept twisting his arm continuously, making him extremely frightened, immediately retreating and yelling, "Sorry, sorry." Jang Pyeong thought to himself, "Let's check out other martial arts schools." Before he could leave, the girl stopped him, cornered him against the wall, and said, "Stay, let's talk." Seeing Jang Pyeong's terrified expression, maybe this girl is the heavenly eternal fox. Let's continue watching, shall we? Suddenly approached by a beautiful girl, Jang Pyeong was stunned and sweaty, awkwardly asking, "What are we talking about here?" She leaned in close to the male lead and gently said, "I am just a weak single girl, busy with daily life and taking care of my father. I have become confused because of my missing daughter. I see that you are healthy and have good character. So maybe." Blushing with embarrassment, Jang Pyeong hesitantly asked, "What do you mean?" She then dragged Jang Pyeong into her shop and excitedly said, "Stay here and work as a blacksmith. Take care of the owner Ryu Pyeong and help manage the store. Of course, we provide food, accommodation, and a salary." Stuck in a somewhat sensitive situation, Jang Pyeong remained calm and thought, if I learn blacksmithing skills, I can save money to buy equipment in the future. Besides, this shop doesn't seem to be under the control of the heavenly eternal fox. His spirits instantly lifted as he shouted with endless determination, "Yes, I want to become the king of blacksmiths." Seeing his enthusiasm, the girl lightly tapped Jang Pyeong's back and happily said, "Ha ha ha. This kid, I definitely didn't choose the wrong person." Jang Pyeong silently suffered, thinking, I have to survive under this girl's control. A few days later inside the blacksmith shop, the sound of intense training could be heard. Stronger. Become even stronger. Jang Pyeong. Breathlessly, Jang Pyeong said, "Chu Hayang, is it really okay for us to do this?" She replied, "It's fine. No one will see. It feels good, doesn't it?" Now, those of you watching, don't think dirty thoughts. Keep your hands out of your pants and continue reading the story. At this moment, Miss Chu Hayang is teaching Jang Pyeong the skill of forging, she said. This is our exclusive technique, wheat forging technique like kneading dough, massaging to fully blend the ingredients. After speaking, she turned and said, "You wait here for a moment. I will go into the warehouse to get the mold fuel in the box next to it. Absolutely do not let the fire go out, yes." After Ms. Chu Hayang left, Jang Pyeong was extremely confused. Holy shit, the fire is about to go out. He immediately looked at the two boxes next to him and wondered, what are these ingredients? Actually, one box is scarlet serpent scales. One box is coal. But Jang Pyeong put both boxes in and said, "Doesn't matter. Put it all in." Finally, he threw it into the furnace below and continued to heat it up. As soon as he put all the ingredients in, the furnace started to react violently. A terrifying flame burst from inside the furnace, the heat reaching thousands of degrees. Jang Pyeong couldn't react in time for a moment. His body stiffened and he thought to himself, "Me, am I going to die?" Suddenly, a strange sensation appeared in the heart of Jang Pyeong. It actively sucked all the fire inside. The heat of the fire made Jang Pyeong extremely painful, clutching his chest and screaming in pain. Ah! A moment later, all the flames had been extinguished, leaving only a bit of lingering smoke and dust in the air. Jang Pyeong was coughing and said, "The fire is out." But suddenly, his heart was overcome with intense heat, and Jang Pyeong held his chest and yelled, "It's too hot!" Successfully appraised, besides the basic stats, Jang Pyeong's maturity value had increased by 1 star. The male lead thought to himself, with the increase in maturity value, combined with the previous situation, if his guess was correct, by using physical and mental energy to create items, he could obtain a level 3 gemstone contract. Once someone voluntarily consumes the gemstone, their life, soul, and consciousness will be controlled by the summoner. The Nightwalker would gain an additional star, gaining night vision, significantly reducing presence at night, increasing movement speed, decreasing weight, and being completely invisible in the dark. Jang Pyeong thought to himself, awakening new talents combined with maturity value increase, upgrading old talents such as the appraisal technique would consume maturity value. The intermediate appraisal technique added a star, allowing him to see his own specific value and appraise targets. The success rate of the appraisal is related to the power gap between both parties. Jang Pyeong was delighted. As long as he continued to awaken new talents, his maturity value would be infinite. Awakening a new talent, the Fire Eater gained an additional star, allowing him to convert fire into elemental energy stored in his body and release the energy whenever needed until the elemental fire energy was depleted. Currently, the elemental fire energy was at 100 out of 100. Jang Pyeong thought to himself, but I remember that the maturity of others also has limits. Can it be that only I can awaken many talents? Recently, as a Fire Eater, I absorbed the Fire Crowd. To be honest, this morning I reached level 3, 8 gemstone level 3. Why didn't the gemstone effect only activate in the afternoon? Is there a certain condition needed? While thinking, suddenly Chu Hayang stepped in and asked, "What's going on? Why is it like this in the house?" She immediately panicked, grabbed Jang Pyeong's hand and shouted, "Wait, didn't you throw the scarlet serpent scales into the furnace? It will explode. It's all my fault. I forgot to tell you." Jang Pyeong hesitated and said, "Hayang, the repair costs in the house." Chu Hayang immediately interrupted. "What are you saying? You're fine, so that's good. But how will you put out the fire? The fire caused by the scarlet serpent scales is not easy to extinguish." Jang Pyeong hesitated and said nothing. It's too long to explain. She looked at the ingredients and exclaimed, the ingredients are mixed well like this. This is when a very high temperature is needed to be effective. You really have talent. The school really underestimated you with your current performance. You are more than enough to join the big 3 organizations." As she was speaking, she poured the ingredients into the mold. Jang Pyeong asked in confusion, "Hayang, everyone always calls the patrol team. The investigation team is one of the big 3 organizations. So, what is the 3rd organization?" Ms. just dipped the dagger into the water and continued, "The city of Myeonju really exists a 3rd organization. But what this organization is called and what it does, no one knows." "That's right, Jang Pyeong, you wanted to buy equipment before, right? If you don't mind, take this." Receiving the dagger, Jang Pyeong immediately appraised and said, "A dagger this good must be expensive. The name dagger, Tears of a Beauty, excellent quality, made of hand and steel, can easily harm anthropomorphic beasts of mid-level, level 10 to 19. Chu Hayang said, "Yep, at market price, it's probably around 100,000 bright pearls." Upon hearing the price, Jang Pyeong was stunned. 100,000 bright pearls, equal to 3 years' salary. He shouted, "Oh my god, how can I afford something that costs as much as my 3,000 bright pearl monthly salary?" Ms. Chu Hayang laughed heartily and said, "Ha ha ha. Consider it a reward for your progress. I have to leave now, but it's okay if you don't come back to school." Jang Pyeong replied, "Don't worry, I've already completed the graduation procedures. And yes, remember to take care of the boss. He's a bit absent-minded. Don't let him open the store." With that said, she left. Jang Pyeong thought even though this store was closed, it wouldn't attract the attention of the heavenly eternal fox, but with such a big disturbance recently, it would surely catch their interest. He decided to use the Night Walker to patrol around. In a nearby park, a girl was playing happily, but she was actually an anthropomorphic beast, heavenly eternal fox, a level 3 mutated fox race with a mature value of 4 stars, a primary level anthropomorphic beast, twisted cognitive perception, able to alter the perception of the target creature and make it unable to recognize abnormalities. Jang Pyeong thought that since he had encountered such a low-level heavenly eternal fox for the first time, and they were both level 3, with his supportive equipment, he could defeat it. Despite the fact that the Sea Patrol team had completely collapsed, the investigation team outside the city was probably not affected. By delivering the heavenly eternal fox's corpse to them, it might attract higher-level attention. While Jang Pyeong was considering his plan, his arms suddenly froze and a voice warned him not to take action against the child or he would be killed. He felt a powerful force behind him, preventing him from moving, realizing that the assassin's ring, along with the Night Walker, had been detected, indicating that this individual had a very high level. Jang Pyeong is about to destroy a 3rd level heavenly eternal fox wearing a girl's mask when suddenly his whole body freezes and a threatening voice appears. "Put away your actions and thoughts." Jang Pyeong thinks to himself, "This girl is probably much higher level than me. Her Nightwalker talent along with her assassination ring also lock me up." She says again, "If you don't want to die, meet me at the orphanage training ground." Hearing that, Jang Pyeong is quite surprised. Orphanage training ground, it's gone. After she finishes speaking, all the ice crystals and her figure disappear. Jang Pyeong thinks, "It seems she is not with the heavenly eternal fox, otherwise I wouldn't have had a chance to explain." A while later, Jang Pyeong also actively seeks the meeting point. The orphanage is too big. When I was little, I used to go to the small park next door to train in martial arts, so I named the park the Orphanage Training Ground. At this point, Jang Pyeong suddenly wonders, how does that girl know about me? How does she know my secrets? Jang Pyeong just entered, thinking not only that, she always keeps an eye on me, so when I tried to make a move, she stopped me. She must have a purpose for leading me here. At this moment, an anthropomorphic beast appeared in front of the protagonist, making him quite surprised. There's an anthropomorphic beast in the forest again. Activate assessment. The system immediately displayed its information. Attribute table, anthropomorphic beast, venomous tail, armor rat, race mutated rat, mature value 2 stars, primary anthropomorphic beast level, rank 5, talent deadly poisonous tail. It has a poison sac in its body that can release toxins through the bone spikes at the end of its tail. Seeing its level, Jang Pyeong silently worried, this mutated rat is 2 ranks higher than me, but it's cautious and slowly retreating. It might be able to escape and come back later. No, I can't let that happen. If I don't deal with it now, the children at the orphanage who come to the park tomorrow could be in danger. It's just a primary anthropomorphic beast. With the equipment given by Chu Hayang, Jang Pyeong immediately drew his weapon, excellent beauty with good quality, made of hanty. It can easily damage anthropomorphic beasts at the intermediate level, level 10 to 19, and can win. Jang Pyeong immediately charged forward to confront the anthropomorphic beast mercilessly. In the previous life, you must have watched too many movies because the main characters who just woke up all have extraordinary fighting skills that are not reasonable. Although I have no combat experience, I can order the summoned beast Jang Pyeong to fight. At this moment, the mutated rat rolled up and spun at an extremely fast speed towards Jang Pyeong. Jang Pyeong used a dagger to defend, ordering his body to fully guard. The normally matched anthropomorphic beast already had stronger combat power than humans, and this rat is 2 levels higher than Jang Pyeong, which will make him face some difficulties. Furthermore, its armor is too hard, the dagger cannot pierce through, so I have to think of another way. After the attack, the rat flew up a rock wall, its tail curled, starting to transfer venom from its pouch to the tip of its tail, immediately shooting countless venom beams towards Jang Pyeong. Our main character ordered himself to dodge all the attacks, controlling himself like playing a game, moving up, moving down, using flexible body techniques to evade. After it stopped spewing poison, Jang Pyeong calmly reassessed the situation. Vision is the weak point, the only part not covered by the armor, but since it curls into a ball, its defense will be a bit difficult to breach. I need to figure out how to break its stance. I've got it. Level 1 Fire Eater. It can convert fire into elemental fire energy by swallowing flames and storing them within its body. It can also release energy at any time until the elemental fire energy reserve is depleted. Currently, the fire elemental energy is at 100/100ths. First, I'll order myself to use martial arts. To my surprise, the introduction of Myeong Ju Fist from historical texts has an effect. This technique is powerful and relies on physical advantage to suppress smaller enemies. Jang Pyeong commanded himself to use Myeong Ju Fist to charge forward and attack. Instantly, he automatically avoided countless poison darts and approached the rat at a suitable distance. At this moment, Jang Pyeong only pretended to use Tears of a Beauty to distract it. One hand wielded Tears of a Beauty to strike it, while the other hand prepared Fire Eater. He flashed a smug smile and said, "Mutated rat, don't get angry." Fire Eater, flaming blaze enveloping. The rat, overwhelmed by the heat, began to thrash, breaking out of its curled position and howling loudly. Taking advantage of its momentary lapse in defense, Jang Pyeong struck directly at its weak spot. He used Tears of a Beauty with full force, stabbing straight into its eye, accompanied by the remaining fire elemental energy, causing the surroundings to blaze fiercely with debris flying everywhere. A few minutes later, the rat finally died, and Jang Pyeong's level had been raised by 1. Other attributes had also increased accordingly. Indeed, leveling up through actual combat is much faster than through training. It must be said that the appearance of this mutated rat is somewhat unusual. In the city, apart from the heavenly eternal fox, there shouldn't be any other anthropomorphic beasts. While Jang Pyeong was lost in thought, he could notice what was happening behind him. A black mist had flown in, enveloping and pinning Jang Pyeong to the ground, causing him to be extremely frightened and scream loudly. At that moment, a hand reached out and said, "I'll give you 5 minutes." Then, a stream of water was used to tightly bind Jang Pyeong's entire body. Hearing the voice, he thought to himself, "This voice is from the girl from earlier. She has appeared." She pointed a frost sword at Jang Pyeong and said, "Prove that you are human." Upon hearing this, Jang Pyeong was very bewildered and thought to himself, "Prove that I am human? I am a human, so how do I prove that?" Suddenly, a strange girl appears, ties me up, and points a sword at me, demanding that I prove I am human. Jang Pyeong became even more perplexed and thought, "Prove that I am human? Could it be that she is aware of the anthropomorphic beasts hiding in the city but cannot distinguish them, which is why she is asking me to prove myself? Perhaps she has already become suspicious when I was about to act against the heavenly eternal fox. Could it be that the venomous tail armor rat is also a challenge she set for me?" Thinking this, Jang Pyeong forced a smile and asked, "Couldn't you give me a hint?" Jang Pyeong not only did not suggest, but also reminded, 4 minutes left. Jang Pyeong immediately used the appraisal technique, appraising 20 times in 2 minutes, but still failed. She reminded again, 2 minutes left. At this moment, the system sounded again. Appraisal failed 999 times. Intermediate appraisal technique upgraded to advanced appraisal technique. Advanced appraisal technique could appraise the target's battle. Successful appraisal. The attribute panel showed name, Ryu Sua, race, human, power, cleaning team, maturity value, 5 stars, rank, high level awakener, level 28, talent, water element control. Could store water elemental energy by drinking water and freely control the water elemental energy around and within the body. After reading the information panel, Jang Pyeong was amazed and thought to herself, "So strong, really at level 28, why is it so difficult to appraise? Moreover, Nightwalker and assassination have no effect on her." Thinking of this, he frowned and sweated. Cleaning team power, never heard of it. Could it be a third organization outside the patrol team and investigation team? Having seen Jang Pyeong remain silent for too long, Ryu Sua promptly reminded him, "1 more minute." Our male protagonist, feeling terrified, exclaimed in alarm, "Wait!" He then began to speak. "You call this small park a martial arts training ground, so I assume you, like me, are someone who grew up in an orphanage." Jang Pyeong thought to himself, "But in my memory, there is no one named Ryu Sua at the orphanage. If she came from there, she must have changed her name." Feeling rushed, Jang Pyeong quickly shouted, "You are Ryu Duin, Ryu Ilsu, Ryu Student, Ryu Samu, Ryu Sasa." As soon as he mentioned the name Ryu Sasa, she suddenly flinched slightly as if she was about to release Jang Pyeong, but instead she actively took some of his blood, then approached Jang Pyeong and exclaimed, "This doesn't prove you're human." In his mind, Jang Pyeong quickly recalled his memories. Her reaction just now, it appears she is indeed Ryu Sasa, 3 years older than me. When I enrolled at Myeongju Academy for Gifted Students, Ryu Sasa had already graduated and joined the investigative team. If this information is known only to me and her. At that time, she used to teach martial arts to Jang Pyeong. This move is Heavenly Frost and Earthly Quake Ultimate Unrivaled Fist. You must learn it. Jang Pyeong immediately repeated the dialogue from back then. First move, ah. Second move, ha ha. Third move, ha ha ah. Heavenly frost and earthly quake, ultimate unrivaled fist. Hearing this, Saisa was shocked and blushed. Then she quickly withdrew her sword. Jang Pyeong joyfully said, "You really are Sasa, so then you." Before she could finish, Sasa interjected. Second question. According to the Academy records, your ability is Gemstone Contract evaluated as useless due to the inability to activate it. So what have you been doing all this time? Jang Pyeong briefly explained his abilities, saying 2 weeks ago, I swallowed a Gemstone Contract, becoming a summoned beast only controlled by myself. Therefore, I can immune to the illusions of anthropomorphic beasts, identify their disguises, and based on my recent investigation, there are many heavenly eternal foxes hidden in the city. I suspect that a tribe of them has infiltrated the city of Myeongju, their innate ability being twisted perception. Hearing this, Sessa was extremely shocked, immediately grabbing Jang Pyeong's sleeve and exclaimed, "Is everything you said true?" Jang Pyeong immediately listed several people who were disguised as Heavenly Eternal Fox. Rakiop Street, the owner of the breakfast shop man Sang, the owner of the furniture store Guen, Yongju Street, the 3 blacksmiths from the Jang Chang Yongchang weapon shop, and the Heavenly Eternal Fox that you stopped me from acting against. Those individuals are all low-level Heavenly Eternal Fox. You can check them out. Sasa immediately turned around and said, "Stay here. I'll be back soon." She used her communication device to report this situation to someone on the team and then asked, "Kimpa, do you find this information reliable?" The other person responded, "First of all, it can be confirmed that no anthropomorphic beast known as Heavenly Eternal Fox has been discovered near the city of Myeongju. However, the distorted perception ability has been observed before, which matches Jang Pyeong's description. I have secretly sent people to capture the 2 most recent suspects. They are on their way back." Just as Kimpa finished speaking, an incredibly powerful explosion occurred behind him. When he turned around, he saw his teammates urgently running towards him. He asked, "What's happened?" Behind him, there was a girl chasing after him, her face full of brutality. He ran with his head down, shouting, "Captain, the owner of the breakfast shop from earlier, who went crazy as soon as she was taken out of the city, freed herself and attacked us." At this point, she had turned her attack towards Kimpa, his face showing no change as he immediately threw a punch and yelled, "Want to die, huh?" Kimpa barely threw a very light punch that easily pierced the stomach of the breakfast shop owner in an instant, saying, "Huh? Underestimating your strength." Immediately, the body of the breakfast shop owner began to emit intense smoke, quickly reverting to its original form, leaving everyone astonished. It seems the information was correct. We finally know what the enemy is. Kimpa immediately ordered, inform the other groups, directly eliminate the target, understood. And so, they began act to track down the entire list provided by Jang Pyeong. At Myeongju Academy, Heavenly Eternal Fox wearing the mask Nak Sai Yu was lounging when suddenly she jolted awake with Heavenly Eternal Fox beside her exclaiming, "Your Highness." She immediately jumped out of the balcony into midair and contacted her subordinates, one of whom reported, "Yuju is dead. Someone killed Yuju outside the city, and there is another person dead in Rakiop City." Naksai Yu said, "The one who can kill quickly and hide their presence, immediately escaping our target's ha." She was extremely angry, releasing a powerful force of murderous aura and shouted loudly, "Who is it after all?" This time, Sosa's brood really broke free from the forest. Inside the dark room, Sosa turned to Jang Pyeong and asked, "Have you confirmed it?" Sosa then untied him and replied, "Yes, but we couldn't verify it. You suddenly gained the ability to see through the magic of the Heavenly Eternal Fox. Is it a trap set by the other party intentionally, so you can only act as a decoy? I will secretly protect you from now on. If you discover anything else at night, you can contact me." Jang Pyeong slightly bent the person and said, "Protecting synonymous monitoring, all right? As long as I can solve the Heavenly Eternal Fox, anything will do." She then threw a gem to Jang Pyeong and said, "Take this. This amulet is a pair, one piece called Nang Gem, the other piece called On Gem. When you encounter any danger, just use fire to cover Nang Gem. On Gem in my hand will also become hot. Then I will know you are in danger. I can immediately save you. But I still ask you to strengthen your own strength. No one can guarantee 100% safety for you." While Susa was talking, Jang Pyeong had tested the new tool, warming it up a bit, then scratching his head awkwardly and added, "I am also looking for a martial arts school to learn martial arts, but I don't have enough money to pay for tuition." Sessa generously agreed immediately. "I will apply for funding from the organization. You take some time to see which martial arts school is suitable." Hearing this, Jang Pyeong was extremely happy and exclaimed, "That's great. Thank you, Sasa. Our main character must be admired, just met and already demanding money from the girl's family, so impressive. On the way back, Jang Pyeong was still thinking. In the past few days, the number of heavenly eternal foxes has decreased a lot, probably all taken care of by the cleaning team. Susa didn't reveal her identity to me. Seems like she still doesn't trust me much. If it weren't for my appraisal technique to promote me and evaluate the target's faction, I wouldn't have known she was from the cleaning team. But how did they know from the beginning that there was an anthropomorphic beast invading my own Jew city? Well, never mind. As long as I can help resolve the heavenly eternal fox, it's fine, and besides, I was already given 10,000 bright pearl just for acting. Suddenly, at this moment, he met a girl handing out flyers, learn martial arts here, anyone interested in learning Warrior Beast King? Seeing that, Jang Pyeong approached and asked, "Let me see one flyer, that's enough." The girl happily handed him the flyer. As he looked at it, he was surprised and muttered, "The tuition for this is really high, and I don't know if it's suitable for me. Beginner martial arts costs 500 bright pearl. The first 3 techniques of Warrior Beast King costs 3,000 bright pearl. The middle 3 techniques of Warrior Beast King cost 3,500 bright pearl. The last 3 techniques of Warrior Beast King cost 5,000 bright pearl. Beast King's hidden power costs 99.99 bright pearl." The girl immediately enthusiastically introduced, "Beast King's hidden power is absolutely worth the money. Our Warrior Beast King martial arts are also famous in my own Jew city." Seeing Jang Pyeong still silent in thought, the girl quickly said, "If you don't believe me, I can show you a little demonstration. The first 3 techniques of Warrior Beast King, divided into Elemental King Technique, Giant Rhino Technique, Phoenix Claw Technique." Seeing the girl starting to perform, Jang Pyeong immediately ordered his body to learn, then thought to himself, "Even though this Warrior Beast King's martial arts or techniques are much more powerful than my own Jew martial arts, it is indeed a formidable martial arts set." At this point, the girl had performed the first technique, the second step, and the third step, then said, "Elemental King Technique with constantly changing and diverse movements, no fixed form." Jang Pyeong stood observing and gave his assessment. It's clear that she is not skilled enough, completely unable to show the power of Warrior Beast King. True enough, after the third step, she fell flat on her face. Just then a group of large gangsters walked up shouting, "Who allowed the people of Warrior Beast King martial arts to distribute flyers here?" Jang Pyeong, uninterested, helped the girl up and asked, "Are you okay?" The girl scratched her head, smiled, and said, "It's embarrassing. I didn't know we couldn't distribute flyers here." At that moment, a man in a red suit appeared and said, "This low-level Warrior Beast King martial art has nothing worthwhile to learn. I advise you to go to our Form and Intent Fist martial arts school." Jang Pyeong immediately recognized the familiar person. He has fought with him at the Soul of Iron Will Forge. The move is called Shallow Lightning 5-Link Stroke. Upon hearing Jang Pyeong's words, he became furious, his blood rushing to his head as he shouted loudly, "It's Shallow Lightning 5-Link Strike. You're just a stroke. Last time at the Forge, I haven't settled the score with you. Today is a good day. Ong-Nai, attack him now." At this moment, the girl blocked Jang Pyeong and bravely shouted, "I won't allow you to bully him." The 2 big guys immediately flexed their muscles and released a powerful electric shock that tore their shirts. Jang Pyeong quickly assessed the 2 of them. Attribute sheet, name, Ong-Nai, species, human, power, form, and intent fist, martial arts school. Mature value, 1 star, Great Awakeners Elementary, level 4, talent, body strengthening, mental power reduced by 70% in exchange for a certain degree of body strengthening skill. Maximum body strengthening is 30%. Name, Ong-Dae, same attributes as Ong-Nai. Flexing his muscles, he said, "Little girl, you better step aside or we'll deal with you too." After reading Jang Pyeong's attribute table, he exclaimed in amazement, "How can intelligence enhance the body like this? Are you sure that's not a talent?" But now it's useless to ask. They have become 2 idiots. Jang Pyeong then assessed the girl. Attribute table, name, Wang Min, species, human, power, warrior, beast king, martial arts, maturity value, 7 stars, primary awakener level, 3rd level, talent, diligent but not smart, learning ability decreased by 90%. Any skill can be achieved through training. Each day of perseverance increases training speed by 10%, up to 1,000%. He thought to himself, with such high maturity value, I never thought Wang Min would become a leader in the future. But with his current strength helping me out, it's not a bad thing to take the hit. Thinking this, Jang Pyeong sighed and then handed her the paper, saying as he pushed her aside, "This is my business, let me handle it." Wang Min replied, "There are 3 people. You dealing with it alone will be very detrimental." Jang Pyeong's eyes suddenly brightened, emitting a burst of power as he spoke. "It's okay. Didn't you just perform the Elemental King technique?" Just using them for a little practice, you arrogant brat. I'm dead. Ong-Dae immediately launched a fierce attack towards Jang Pyeong, but their speed was too slow. Jang Pyeong easily dodged, delivering a strong blow to Ong-Dae's neck with his first move, then swiftly changing positions and attacking Ong-Ai's abdomen, sending him flying meters away. The young man in a vest couldn't resist and immediately used the shallow lightning 5-link strike to rush towards Jang Pyeong. But before he could strike, Jang Pyeong used his third move to incapacitate him. It looked incredibly painful. After finishing the fight, Jang Pyeong mocked them, saying, "Too bad, you need at least 2 more people for that. Your precious shallow lightning 5-link strike has failed." Then he turned to Wang Jio-min and said, "Let's go, take me to the Warrior Beast King Arena." She asked in surprise, "Do you really want to register?" He confirmed, "Seriously." She then said, "You're really amazing. Just by watching once, you learned the Elemental King technique. So if I have any techniques in the future that I don't understand, can you teach me?" "No problem." Upon hearing this, Wang Jio-min was extremely happy and exclaimed, "That's great. With your help, I can certainly become strong quickly." Seeing the innocent and not very bright girl in front of him, Jang Pyeong smiled to himself, thinking she has great potential and will at least become a high-level awakener in the future. She might even become a top-level awakener. Maybe I'll have to seek her help in the future. At the Warrior Beast King training ground, the panicked shouts of the trainees could be heard everywhere. Someone has seen the trainer appear at the head of the street. What? The trainer has returned already? Oh my, wasn't he supposed to come back in 2 days? What do we do now? I haven't even finished half of the Elemental King technique yet. Ha ha ha, laziness will be punished. Wake up. As the training ground buzzed with frenzy, Jang Pyeong and Wang Jio-min had just arrived. Seeing this scene, Jang Pyeong sighed and asked, "Why is everyone so scared of the trainer?" Wang Jio-min, trembling, hugged his head and said, "Our trainer, Baek-deok, is known for being strict. Those who don't complete their tasks will be heavily punished." Jang Pyeong asked, "Have you ever been punished before?" Wang Jio-min suddenly proudly replied, "I have been punished the most here for over a month, but I didn't even meet the basic standards for martial arts training." Jang Pyeong swayed, thinking to himself, why is he proud of this? Just then, a loud bang was heard from outside as the door opened, and everyone immediately lined up and stood at attention shouting, "Hello, coach." Wang Jio-min reminded Jang Pyeong, "The coach is here, stand at attention quickly." The coach entered and yelled, "Everyone's posture is incorrect, 50 laps as punishment." Yes. Jang Pyeong silently assessed his teacher, the attribute board showing name, Baek-deok, race, human, affiliation, Beast King's hidden power, maturity value, 1 star, advanced awakener level, level 25, special abilities, ability to change body shape through corresponding food, number of preserved forms related to level, currently preserving wolf form and berserk lion form. Jang Pyeong astonished, thinking he's so strong, his level is almost comparable to Sister Sasa. Baek-deok approached Jang Pyeong and asked, "Are you the kid who helped with form and intent fist training yesterday?" Jang Pyeong calmly replied, "Yes, is there a problem?" Jang Pyeong didn't have time to react. Baek-deok launched an attack. Jang Pyeong dodged and shouted, "Wait a minute! You're going too far attacking someone new like me for a minor offense." Baek-deok kept attacking and asked, "Someone new, huh? I've heard that you only watched Elemental King technique once and learned it." He increased the power and speed of his attack, turning his fist into a wolf shape and lunging at Jang Pyeong's face. Jang Pyeong thought, "This is bad. Can't avoid it. This punch is extremely powerful. If I get hit, I'll either die or be crippled." But Baek-deok stopped in time, then tapped Jang Pyeong on the head and chuckled. "Ha ha ha. I didn't believe it before. Now I do. The potential of this kid is not bad." Baek-deok glanced at Wang Jio-min and said, "It's a pity that the one who taught you Elemental King technique was a mediocre person. There are some techniques with significant power and strength differences. I will correct it for you later. Thank you, coach." After checking Jang Pyeong, Baek-deok turned back to the students and said, "It's time to see if any of you are lazy." The whole group trembled in fear and didn't dare to move. Baek-deok yelled, "Line up. Take turns comparing with me. If you don't meet the standard, do 500 push-ups and run 10 kilometers. Jang Pyeong sweated, thinking, indeed, as an enhancer who strengthens the body, training must be rougher than others. Wang Jio-min teased Jang Pyeong, and he immediately asked, "Why?" She hesitated and said, "The coach doesn't teach me much. He will correct you later. Can you teach me privately?" Wang Jio-min blushed. Jang Pyeong replied, "No problem after school. You can come with me to the training ground. I will help you practice." She happily exclaimed, "Really? I was worried you would refuse." Jang Pyeong looked at her attributes board and thought to himself, Not right, hardworking but not smart. Learning ability decreased by 90%. Is this talent meant to torture the teacher who taught her? No wonder Coach Baked Duke doesn't want to teach her much. Wang Jiolmin bowed to Jang Pyeong and said, "Please guide me more in the future." A few days later inside the training ground, all that could be heard was Jang Pyeong and Wang Jiolmin's voices saying, "You made a mistake. Do it again. Sorry, wrong again. Do it again." She practiced until she fell flat on her face, her body in pain. Jang Pyeong sighed and thought, "I will divide the Elemental King technique into small movements for her to practice one by one. That way there may be some effectiveness. But this warrior Beast King is truly effective. After training these days, I vaguely feel my level increasing." Right at that moment, the voice of Chu Hayang echoed. "Jang Pyeong, I'm back." He immediately turned to Wang Jiolmin and said, "Chu Hayang is back. Keep practicing. I'll go check on her." She stifled a giggling. Aha. As soon as she stepped outside, Chu Hayang said, "Damn, this time we almost had trouble. I don't know why, but the wild animals outside, the mutant beasts, have decreased significantly. We had to venture deep into the northern mountains and encountered a pack of wolves, all storm wolves." Hearing this, Jang Pyeong was worried. "What? Is Chu Hayang okay?" She replied, "Luckily, we used a shovel to dig a hole and hide in it. The pack of wolves couldn't find prey, so they attacked the wild men nearby. I took the opportunity while the pack of wolves wasn't paying attention and escaped, got some good items from them. Here, take this. It's a rare wind gem." As she spoke, she handed the wind gem to Jang Pyeong. High quality, a type of extremely rare biological crystal, can be used to store elemental wind energy. Through mental control, the energy can be released to form attacks like a gust of wind in a storm. Jang Pyeong received it and said, "This is the wind gem." Chu Hayang exclaimed in surprise, "Ha ha, you can also recognize treasures. This thing, even a child can unleash wind and sword techniques from the air, all kinds of magic." Suddenly a voice said, "Hey, you can't do this in broad daylight. Don't take it off. Let me do it myself." Jang Pyeong was startled, thinking to himself, "What is this sound?" Other sounds echoed. Family blade, the first blade technique, follow me, birds in pairs on the tree, blue water and green mountains with a smile. Then the voice of the heavenly eternal fox said, "Yu Ju is dead. Humans deserve to die. Today, I have to eat 2 more people." In addition to the basic information, Jang Pyeong's attribute table has awakened a new talent, the Wind Guardian elementary talent. The one holding this talent will randomly hear great emotional sounds within a range of 16 kilometers, unable to actively control it. Jang Pyeong thought to himself, "Indeed, the new talent is like the Fire Eater before. The gemstone contract is starting to take effect slowly," meaning that Jang Pyeong had bitten the stone before, but it was not until he touched the new wind gem that the talent was awakened. Jang Pyeong accidentally heard the voice of the heavenly eternal fox, pausing. "Wall rep, besides Wang Jiolmin in this store, there's also a man. It seems like that man is the one who made His Majesty scold us at the Academy dormitory." Jang Pyeong startled and turned back, pausing. "Is this voice from the heavenly eternal fox?" The voice echoed again, pausing. "The scent seems nice. Let's eat them at noon." "Ah, I'll eat that kid. Wang Jiolmin will be left for you." Realizing that they were the target of the heavenly eternal fox, Jang Pyeong thought in horror, pausing. We are being followed. Jang Pyeong found that he was targeted by the heavenly eternal fox, immediately sending out a distress signal to Ryu Sua, pausing. On the other side, Ryu Sua had just finished bathing. Seeing the gem glowing, she said, pausing, "Something's not right. Jang Pyeong is in danger." Meanwhile, Jang Pyeong was tense, continuously sending power to the gem and thinking, pausing. Why hasn't Sister Sessa arrived yet? These 2 heavenly eternal foxes have lost patience and can attack at any time. Seeing the serious expression of Jang Pyeong, Chu Hayang asked, pausing, "What's wrong? Are you okay?" Jang Pyeong thought, pausing. Both of them are mid-level heavenly eternal foxes. Even with you, Chu Hayang, there's no chance of winning. Then he pretended to turn away and said, "Ah, that's right. Chu Hayang, you haven't visited Ryu yet, have you? Or are you going to visit him first? I will go buy some groceries for everyone." She patted Jang Pyeong on the shoulder and said, "Okay, hurry up. It's been a long time since I had your cooking, and take the wind gem with you." "Yes." Jang Pyeong thought to himself, "I should get Wang Jiolmin out of here first, to avoid danger for Chu Hayang and Ryu." She said, "Don't make us wait too long." Then she went to visit Ryu, while Jang Pyeong went to the backyard of the blacksmith shop. Wang Jiolmin was still practicing, and when she saw Jang Pyeong, she asked, "Jang Pyeong, is my technique correct?" Seeing the urgent situation, Jang Pyeong pulled her away and said, "Don't say anything. Follow me. What's going on?" Wang and Jiolmin seemed confused, but before they could take a few steps, they were stopped by two heavenly eternal foxes. One of them asked, "Where are you two going?" Jang Pyeong thought to himself, "Damn. Only Jang Pyeong," and we could see this image. Wang Jiolmin didn't know anything. She innocently asked, "Mom, Dad, why are you two here?" Jang Pyeong immediately stopped her and shouted, "Don't go over there." Wang Jiolmin asked Jang Pyeong. Jang Pyeong pondered, unsure how to explain the appraisal results showing anthropomorphic beast, heavenly eternal fox, mutated fox lineage, 1-star growth value, intermediate anthropomorphic beast rank, level 15, cognitive metamorphosis talent, able to alter creatures' perceptions, target compulsive illusion, undetectable, level 16. Wang Jiolmin hesitated, replied, "He is your friend at the martial arts dodo." Jang Pyeong thought happily, "Space room, too good." Wang Jiolmin, still confused, exclaimed in fear, "What? What is happening?" The two heavenly eternal foxes immediately rushed in and shouted, "It's not good. They want to escape, Dad, Mom." Jang Pyeong held her tightly and said, "Don't mind them. Hold on to me." In an instant, they reached inside. "It's not good," they caught up. Jang Pyeong quickly turned back to defend. Wang Jiolmin panicked and shouted, "Jang Pyeong." Both fell into Ryu Sua's dark room. As the dust cleared, Wang Jiolmin struggled to sit up and asked, "Jang Pyeong, are you okay?" Jang Pyeong drew out his sword and said, "I'm fine." Not only them, but both heavenly eternal foxes also fell inside. Wang Jiolmin saw his strange parents and exclaimed, "Father, why?" Jang Pyeong yelled, "Don't go there. They are anthropomorphic beasts." One of the heavenly eternal foxes said, "Aha, they can see through our disguise, so we can't let them live." They immediately attacked Jang Pyeong and Wang Jiolmin with a huge gap in speed and power. Jang Pyeong was thrown meters away thinking, "Too fast, couldn't dodge. This is a class difference." Wang Jiolmin was in danger. One approached her and said, "Jiolmin, my good daughter." Jang Pyeong panicked thinking, "This is not good." The remaining fox was targeting Wang Jiolmin, and even though he wanted to save her, he couldn't because he was struggling himself. "Bad, I can't take it anymore." Just then, Ryu Sua's voice rang out, "Jang Pyeong, get out of the way." In the blink of an eye, countless sharp icicles appeared from below, shooting up to pierce through the bodies of the two heavenly eternal foxes. But even that wasn't enough to kill him. Ryu Sua continued to wield her ice sword and charge forward. Seeing her parents being attacked, Wang Jiolmin shouted, "Stop!" Without saying a word, Ryu Sua used her super speed to swiftly finish off the two heavenly eternal foxes. She then turned back and asked, "Is everyone okay?" In Wang Jiolmin's eyes, her parents were killed, and she cried out, "No. Why? Why did you kill my parents?" Jang Pyeong tried to explain, "Wang Jiolmin, they are not your parents, they are just heavenly eternal foxes in disguise." Wang Jiolmin collapsed, unable to believe what she heard. Her eyes wide with shock as she screamed, "No way, you're lying to me. They were clearly my parents. You're lying to me." She sobbed uncontrollably, and Jang Pyeong asked, "Sasa, why don't the heavenly eternal foxes reveal their true form?" Ryu Sua replied, "Possibly within the city there exist heavenly eternal foxes with enhanced royal level abilities using the illusion technique of the entire clan. So even low-level heavenly eternal foxes can evade high-level awakeners. The ones we killed earlier only revealed their true forms outside the city." After listening, Jang Pyeong thought to himself, "Perhaps only I can expose their disguise." He lifted the head of one of the anthropomorphic beasts and said, "Wang Jiolmin, these two beasts have killed your parents and disguised themselves as them. This is the truth. The image of parents turned into terrifying monsters, a shock that anyone would find unbearable." Wang Jiolmin stiffened, tears streaming down his face, continuously asking, "Why did this happen? Why?" At that moment, Nak Sa-yu, extremely angry, called for an internal meeting of the heavenly eternal fox clan. 9 of our kin have died this week. It seems humans have figured out how to break the illusion technique. One fox suggested, "Your Highness, we should just kill all the humans occupying this city." A chubby heavenly eternal fox chewing said, "Then what will we eat, grass?" People started discussing with different opinions. Nak Sa-yu silenced them with a shout, "Quiet. Foolish, killing humans is not realistic and a waste of food. The urgent matter now is to lure that group out from the shadows and eliminate them one by one. Does the deputy city lord have any strategy?" He immediately bowed and said, "Wang Jia the prince, perhaps we can attract other races to stir up Myeongju City, then focus on eliminating some of the strongest humans." Nak Sa-yu asked, "How do you know they are still in the city?" He replied, "Besides the guard team and the investigation team, there is another organization. but the city owner was severely damaged by the king and fled. I suspected he was hiding in that organization. I am certain he will not leave the city, definitely waiting for us to make a mistake. Your Highness, leading other races into the city is not a bad idea. Yes, indeed, I want a change of taste. Naxai Yu then stepped forward and said, but now the king is still sound asleep. She glanced at the deputy city lord and said, although you have helped our tribe, if you dare make any move, I will definitely kill you. I hope you understand your position, Wang Tekmao. He knelt down and shouted, I dare not. I will devote my whole life to Myeonju City. It is a pity that the useless city owner hinders the development of Myeonju City. I only hope that a strong person can take over the city. It is unexpected that the high-ranking officials of Myeonju City became minions for the heavenly eternal fox. Perhaps he has some ulterior motive. Returning to the previous time, Wang Jiolmin's place, she was in extreme pain, looking at the blood on the ground and tremblingly whispered, Mom, Dad, tears kept flowing endlessly. I'm sorry if I had realized earlier. Ryu Sua immediately asked. Even if you had realized earlier, what could you have done? Stop talking, Sister Sesa. Wang Jiolmin then shouted loudly. Enough. Ultimately, it's all my fault. Because I'm too weak. A person like me can't even learn the simplest martial arts. Why did this happen to my parents? Why isn't it me who died? Seeing Wang Jiolmin gradually losing her calm, Jang Pyeong immediately bent down, hugged her tightly, and gently comforted her. Listen, this is not your fault. I am like you. I also had someone very important to me, but was killed by the heavenly eternal fox from the security team. I couldn't help but think that if I had stopped him from going to the security team that day, would the situation be different? But in my heart, I know even if we go back to the past, the outcome will not change. Joining the security team was her dream. No one could stop it. No one could change fate. So the fact that your family was killed is not your fault, but you can change the future, become stronger, protect yourself and other important people. I believe your parents in heaven will be happy for you. Wang Jiolmin finally calmed down and said, Thank you, Jang Pyeong. Jang Pyeong continued, As for the monsters inside the city, trust me, I will definitely destroy each one of them. He said while spraying a mouthful of blood on Wang Jiolmin's face, then passed out, leaving both of them shocked. Jang Pyeong thought to himself, just now he had ordered his body to try to resist, but he could only maintain it for a certain period of time. Maybe it was because of the attack by the heavenly eternal fox when they first entered the dark room. When Jang Pyeong woke up, he saw two girls standing there waiting for him. Wang Jiolmin exclaimed joyfully, Great, he's finally awake. Jang Pyeong sat up and asked, how long have I been asleep? Ryu Sua immediately reminded him, Don't move. Be careful not to reopen the wound. Wang Jiolmin then held Jang Pyeong's hand and said, Jang Pyeong, I've made up my mind. I want to become stronger and then go with everyone to defeat the heavenly eternal fox. Seeing her regain her spirits, Jang Pyeong was also very happy, saying, Yes, I believe in you. You can do it. Ryu Sua said, Miss Wan, your house is no longer safe. I suggest you come here temporarily. If we stay together, I can keep you both safe. At that moment, Jang Pyeong heard Naxai Yu's voice saying, The king is still sleeping deeply. Clarify the position of Wang Tekmao. The subordinates dare not. This voice belongs to Naxai Yu. Miss Sasa, heavenly eternal fox has intelligence. What did he say? Jang Pyeong then recounted everything he heard to Ryu Sua. Shortly after, Wang Tekmao, who was the deputy mayor of Myeonju City, appeared in a conversation with the heavenly eternal fox, further claiming to be a subordinate, so he may have defected, and the king could use illusion technique to strengthen the community. At the same time, making it impossible for the awakened top-level person to see through. It must be the king among the heavenly eternal fox. Their king is sleeping deeply. Now is the perfect opportunity for us to counterattack. Jang Pyeong, we need your cooperation to distinguish the heavenly eternal fox. It's not a problem. At the same time, at the Soul of Iron will forge. I'm hungry now, wait a little longer. Jang Pyeong must be buying food and will soon be back. At this rate, the two of us will still be waiting for food until dawn. Switching scenes to the cleaning team base. Before asking me to activate the secret chamber, now wanting to open the heavenly veil, Sessa really knows how to make people do things. The girl who introduced herself as Mani, the dark room is probably created by her. The girl behind her is drinking bubble tea. Her name is John Rakbai. After they entered the room, another girl immediately asked, Manny, aren't you drinking coffee? This time it will probably take a while. Manny happily replied, No need for me, just drank. So let's get started. This brown-haired girl's name is Hyo Gil. She works with Manny and John Rakbai to activate the spell formation. Solar energy complete, dark veil complete, luminous mirage transformation complete. Immediately, Mirage of the Heavenly Veil was activated. After a period of collaboration, the cleaning team finally agreed to disclose some information to me. The cleaning team is the most secretive organization in the city of Myeongju. Their function is to step in when the city of Myeongju is on the brink of disaster. At the same time, cleaning up the mess in the city of Myeongju, they are the trump card of the city of Myeongju. The cleaning team often have to carry out secret operations. Their support team for their actions is a specially structured group. According to what Sesa said, the group has 3 main members: team leader Mani, Hyo-gil, and John Rakbai. The 3 can launch Mirage of the Heavenly Veil, pulling creatures from the celestial realm down into the dark world space. Inside, the scenery of the world can be adjusted at will to bewitch enemies. This is the most powerful strategy of the group. If the Heavenly Eternal Fox silently kills by twisting perceptions, then we will return the favor in a similar way. On a busy street, 2 Heavenly Eternal Foxes were searching for prey. Wol1 hotly said, "Wol2, shall we choose a few people here to take with us?" Feeling uneasy, Wol2 refused. "It's not very safe in the city lately. We should be cautious." Wol1 walked alongside, taunting, "Ha, so you're already scared." As Wol1 turned back to look, the surroundings were silent. Wol2 looked up and asked Wol1 again, "Do you feel anything abnormal somewhere?" Wol1 still affirmed, "Nothing abnormal. You're too paranoid." Just as Wol1 finished speaking, they looked around and the darkness suddenly enveloped them, shocking them as they shouted, "Where did everyone go?" Suddenly, a powerful punch appeared in the air, catching the 2 off guard and leaving them motionless. The punch created a large yellow energy source, and the figure in front spoke, "Unfortunately, I can't just punch and kill you both." Wol1 angrily cursed, "Damn it. You're the one who has been killing our kind recently in Myeongju City." At this moment, Wol1 still held a confident expression in its animal form and continued, "And yet you dare launch an attack on us so openly, not afraid that we will call for reinforcements." Level 32 Kimpa smirked challengingly. "Oh, why don't you give it a try then?" Thinking to himself, based on Jang Pyeong's intelligence, these 2 are probably around level 25. I should be able to handle them. Thinking quickly, he shouted, "Golden blood." Without saying much, Wol1 charged aggressively, its speed not to be underestimated. Kimpa's body emitted a difficult-to-block golden light, slightly surprised. Clearly, I managed to block the attack, but still ended up with a wound. Wol2 charged forward again, yelling loudly, "Puny little creature, this time will be the same." His face revealing a hint of worry as he thought to himself, I think I managed to block it this time." Seeing Kimpa being pushed back, Wol1 arrogantly sneered, "Only have that much skill." Wol1 continued to mock, "Is that all you've got? I really can't understand how those of your kind get killed." After speaking, Wol1 immediately received a devastating punch to the face, sending him flying hundreds of meters away. Only now did Kimpet respond to the earlier question. "Now you understand, huh?" Wol2 called out in frustration, "Wol1." Wol2 was extremely angry, showing a terrifying beastly form. "Shit, I will take your life." Kimpa calmly assessed, "So that's how it is." Quickly, Kimpa caught the hand from Wol2's beastly form. "Although I can't see, I can probably figure out your shape." The powerful yellow force broke Wol2's arm, causing her to scream in pain. Kimpa, with a dominant and arrogant demeanor, continued, "This type of power is indeed very strong for sneak attacks, but it's nothing in direct confrontation." Wol2 cried out in pain, "Wol1, save me." Kimpa turned, his eyes sharp with yellow sparks, and lightly said, "Hello." Then, with great force, he threw Wol2 towards Wol1. "Let me help you." After throwing both of them up high, Kimpei used his lightning-fast speed to leap into the air, then kicked a lightning bolt that sent both of them crashing to the ground, the powerful energy causing rocks to explode and dust to fill the air. Both lay motionless with weak voices. "Why can't we sense our own kind? We fell into a trap." With eyes glowing red, a thunderous punch struck down once more. They shouted in vain amidst the burning flames, "Let me give you another time." At the same time, on a tall building, there are 2 people observing. Jang Pyeong admires. "So powerful." Standing next to him, Ryu System is also proud. After all, Kimpa is the leader of our combat team. Jang Pyeong laughs humorously with folded arms. But that appearance is very difficult for people not to think of Cyan. Ryu System wonders, what is that? The outside world is extremely crowded. Suddenly, there is information transmitted. Ryu System, I am Cybek. Mutant Beast outside the city begins to gather, causing chaos without reason. If they advance into the city now, it is feared that it will add burden to the Mirage of the Heavenly Veil. You go out of town to investigate the situation. Ryu System hesitates, but the other end of the line continues. If worried about Jang Pyeong, you bring him along. It can also train his combat abilities. Understood. Sideback further explains, Heavenly Eternal Fox that he mentioned before, we have recorded it. I will arrange the combat team to deal with it. Understood. Jang Pyeong listens to the conversation and thinks to himself, when Chu Hayang was faced with the storm wolves gathering back into a pack, is it related to this? Ending the conversation, Ryu Sua urges, let's go. Jang Pyeong, follow me out of town. At the forge, I will have someone to safeguard you. Jang Pyeong happily puts his hand in his pocket and asks, who was that person just now? Ryu Sua replies, he is our leader. After the mission ends, you will meet him. In a vast clearing within the forest, Jang Pyeong and Ryu Sua were investigating the situation outside. The gentle rustling of the trees and foliage continuously echoed. Jang Pyeong glanced at Ryu Sua beside him and said, you're all grown up, but it's your first time leaving the city. Then he looked down at the ground. Right under our feet is a swamp. He wondered aloud, are these things plants? Jang Pyeong lifted a foot, preparing to step forcefully into the swamp as a joke. Sensing the danger, Ryu Sua quickly grabbed Jang Pyeong's arm and shouted, don't go over there. Jang Pyeong turned to her with a puzzled expression, unsure of what was happening. At that moment, the bushes ahead suddenly shifted and glowed strangely. They gathered their leaves together and shot something green into the sky. Although it was just a small droplet that was shot up, when it burst, it became enormous and splattered everywhere. Ryu Sua explained, these plants are called acid grass. They contain highly corrosive acids. Right now is when their fruits are ripening. The ripe fruits explode like fireworks. After pausing for a moment, Ryu Sua continued, acid grass uses this method to disperse its seeds. We must be very careful. Also, there are mutant beasts that feed on acid grass. Ryu Sua pointed down towards the rabbit and said to Jang Pyeong, that is your first opponent. I have to go investigate the situation with the violent mutant beast, so don't run too far away from here. Jang Pyeong stared at the white rabbit and thought, system appraisal. At that moment, the appraisal appeared for him. Mutant beast, living water giant rabbit, species, mutated rabbit, 3-star potential, lower grade mutant beast, 9th level, talent. It can shoot highly corrosive water from the sweat glands hidden in its ears. Jang Pyeong held the sword in his hand and began to get into position, the sword blazing fiercely, his eyes determined as he silently remarked, this rabbit seems harmless, but its level is even higher than the venomous tail armor rat, while it is still not paying attention. He then loudly announced his attack, striking the rabbit on the head and immediately threw the sword at the rabbit from behind. The rabbit, unaware of the danger as it was busy eating acid grass, suddenly sensed something amiss and quickly jumped aside, narrowly avoiding the sword plunging into the ground. As the rabbit ran towards him, Jang Pyeong raised his fist from behind to prepare for another attack, his arm aflame, his eyes shining as he smirked and said, bright fist. The rabbit's face was filled with anger, its 2 ears standing upright and deep inside its ear canal. It began preparing to shoot out acid droplets in defense. Jang Pyeong, somewhat frightened, raised his hand to block the green acid droplets, exclaiming in surprise, I didn't expect it to shoot so far. Seizing the opportunity, the rabbit hopped around in the patch of acid grass, causing the grass to be agitated and shoot acid continuously into the air. Jang Pyeong could no longer pursue it, and in panic said, this is bad, the acid grass has been agitated. Now the air around him was filled with dangerous acid droplets. The only option was to dodge the acid and let his body analyze the situation automatically. He quickly withdrew his sword from the ground and ran away. His body began to analyze. First, the rabbit's senses are very sharp and its reactions are agile, so my sneak attack failed. Second, it has long-range skills and is immune to the acid grass. After escaping, he stood aside, observing the rabbit amidst the acid droplets being shot out by the acid grass. He continued his analysis. Third, it is very cunning. First, it sprays acid to keep me at a distance, then deliberately leads me to where the acids are mature. Its movements are both swift and crafty, making it not easy to handle. Suddenly, he remembered, why doesn't this acid corrode me? He raised his hands to catch the drops of acid, a bit puzzled. I've clearly used my hand to catch the acid bullets that rabbit shot at me. Jang Pyeong made his hands burst into flames and smiled, saying, could it be because of the fire? The rabbit still didn't give up on him, immediately jumped towards him and growled, taste my acid. Then it continuously fired acid bullets towards him. When Jang Pyeong realized the weakness of these acid bullets, he gently stood there and turned the fire to block the attacks of the rabbit. The acid bullets that were shot were all burned and destroyed by the large flame, then disappeared. Jang Pyeong lowered himself, one hand holding a sword, the other hand turning into fire around everything, causing smoke to rise. He smirked confidently and said, indeed, this acid fears fire, evaporates directly. No wonder Sesa can trust himself to fight such a superior opponent. The white rabbit that had turned into a terrifying face with shark teeth gnashing in anger, red eyes, and pink fur standing erect, growled, "Damn, all my acid wasted." After speaking, he angrily ran straight towards Jang Pyeong. "Why aren't you eating?" He raised both hands in front of him, this familiar feeling. Even the small monster had 2 levels. The crazy rabbit leaped up to attack and scratch at him. Jang Pyeong also held the sword tightly to block the blow, silently thinking its claw attack also has a corrosive effect. Jang Pyeong, unfortunately hit by its sharp claws on his arm, he looked down in pain and growled, "Damn it." The rabbit was also hit by his sword, a long trail of blood flowing on its back, causing it to return to its original white fur form, with red eyes and sharp teeth looking frightening. Jang Pyeong looked and said, "Knowing long-range attacks are useless against me, so you want to be tough with me." Jang Pyeong spewed fire, the surrounding area now ablaze, holding the sword firmly in hand, deploying Fire Eater firepower. Fire spectacle. If you don't want to be corroded by it, you must use fire to envelop your body. The system showed record Fire Eater flame intensity 43/100ths. His determined eyes shining brightly, but using this method, the flames will quickly dissipate, must fight quickly to win. Jang Pyeong began to charge forward, intense flames burning around him, calculating, must use fire to surround it. Then he shouted, "Little rabbit, you can create a trap, not just you." That rabbit also runs fast. Jang Pyeong finds it very difficult to catch up and capture. The fire is getting bigger every moment. He swung the fire sword up, his eyes shining brightly, then said, "Now you have no way to run away." He used the fire to surround the rabbit, not giving it a chance to escape. He pointed the sword at it and shouted, "Accept your fate." The system once again appeared, Fire Eater storage amount of fire 3/100ths. Jang Pyeong thrust the sword into the ground vigorously. The fire burst out fiercely. He frowned in anger. It's been avoided. The system reappeared, Fire Eater storage amount of fire 0/100th. He looked back and smirked. "But it's just what I wanted." Jang Pyeong stood up and activated the Fire Eater to absorb the fire. The system started to display. The number gradually increased. Fire Eater storage amount of fire 3/100ths, Fire Eater storage amount of fire 9/100ths, Fire Eater storage amount of fire 13/100ths. He pulled the sword back, preparing for his next move. He said loudly, "Let me see how you escape in midair." Jang Pyeong swung the sword forward. A fire accurately hit the rabbit, causing it to scream in pain. The rabbit was finally destroyed and fell straight to the ground and caught fire. Jang Pyeong stood there breathing heavily. "What a waste of energy. My attribute didn't increase. That rabbit probably still alive. I need to add a few more stabs." Immediately, Jang Pyeong continued to stab the sword repeatedly into it, and the rabbit lay dead on the ground. The system showed all attributes, leveling up to current attributes: stamina 20, infinite spirit, energy 19, flexibility 23. Jang Pyeong's normal value is 10. Jang Pyeong was very satisfied, smiled lightly, and said, "It's indeed a level 9 monster. Killing one can increase all attributes by 2 points, but unfortunately, the level does not increase. The higher the level, the harder it is to level up, because after training and fighting monsters to gain experience, only attribute levels increase, but level advancement is something quite common." The system then showed fire energy absorption, total energy reached 100, Fire Eater primary, leveled up to intermediate Fire Eater, reserves increased to 300. Seeing this, Jang Pyeong happily held the sword in his hand and tried to create fire, then found out the Fire Eater also leveled up, and the harvest was not small. Suddenly, something caught Jang Pyeong's eye. It was countless other rabbits following each other, each with a very angry face, bright red eyes, and sharp teeth. Jang Pyeong exclaimed in horror, "Holy shit." At this moment, Jang Pyeong no longer appeared arrogant and commanded himself to exclaim, "Oh my god." The system now displays a notification. Fire Eater only has 2/100ths reserves remaining. He looked panicked and thought to himself, "It's over. That last attack must have used up all the reserves." At this moment, hundreds of angry and fierce-looking rabbits were slowly advancing towards Jang Pyeong. He started to retreat with some fear, unsure of how to fight back, especially since there were too many rabbits. A large rabbit, a leader of the pack, growled angrily, opening its mouth with sharp teeth, threatening him. Suddenly, Jang Pyeong reached into his pocket and shouted, "Of course. This reserve can still activate the amulet." As he took out the amulet, the white rabbits all charged towards him at an incredible speed. Jang Pyeong was extremely panicked, knowing that running away is the best option. As he ran, he cried out desperately, "Sister Sosa, help me please." The amulet on his hand burst into flames, and suddenly 4 white rabbits appeared to block his path, all looking angrily at him. Jang Pyeong turned around and saw the rabbits behind him catching up. "Oh no, I even know the strategy of attacking front and back." Jang Pyeong stood still as if rooted to the spot, unable to move or do anything, while the white rabbits slowly closed in on him in a circle. He sighed, "This time it's troublesome." The rabbits began to simultaneously shoot acid bullets from their ears, the green light of the acid illuminating the area. Jang Pyeong, frightened, crouched down on the ground, covering his head with his hands and using his clothes as a shield against the first wave of attacks. Jang Pyeong sat there, but he didn't feel any of the attacks. Suddenly, a water barrier appeared behind him, protecting Jang Pyeong. Peeking back, Jang Pyeong remarked, "This familiar water element." Ryu Sua calmly approached her and waved her hand to dispel the water barrier. Jang Pyeong joyfully stood up and exclaimed, "It's really you, Session." Ryu Sua, emotionless, just said 2 words to him, "Step back." Ryu Susun's hand was all water-based energy as she looked at the white rabbits in front of her and remarked, "These bomb rabbits are quite fierce." Immediately, a massive tsunami wave rose up to 100 meters high, crashing fiercely and sweeping the white rabbits away, causing them to panic and scream in the rushing water. She snapped her fingers and the torrent of water instantly froze into ice. As a result, the rabbits were also stuck in place, unable to move. Jang Pyeong stared at the scene in awe, exclaiming with admiration, "Incredible. I had to use all my strength just to deal with one of them." Ryu Sua turned to look at Jang Pyeong and asked, "I've only been gone for a short while. Why are there so many suddenly appearing?" Jang Pyeong feigned innocence, shrugging and saying, "I don't know." Ryu Sua glanced around, her expression showing fatigue. There was no end in sight as countless more white rabbits continued to rush towards them in waves. Ryu Sua brandished her hand and a green sword appeared. She shouted, "No matter how many there are, it makes no difference, huh?" But she suddenly stopped, observing their movements. The white rabbits showed no intention of attacking them. Instead, they were charging towards the rabbits she had previously frozen. Jang Pyeong was puzzled. "They're not attacking us?" He continued to speculate. "Is it because of that leader rabbit? But it should be dead by now, shouldn't it?" Ryu Sua spread her legs wide, lowering her body while bringing out her sword from behind. She had assumed a ready-to-fight stance. Seizing the opportunity, she surged forward. "If that's the case, then I won't hold back anymore." With a few swift sword strikes, she was able to easily and quickly take care of them. The white rabbits had no chance to counterattack. Blood splattered everywhere, and with one final swing, she raised her sword high above her head and struck with all her might, wiping out the entire group of rabbits this time. Ryu Sua looked at the leader rabbit being stoned to death, its face still angry and sharp with a terrifying look. After a moment of contemplation, she thought, "If I guess correctly, the answer must be inside the body of the leader rabbit." Seeing this, Ryu Sua reached out towards the leader rabbit and said, "Neutralize." The ice stones immediately broke into small pieces and slowly melted away. She sat down on the scattered ice, meticulously searching through each layer, and then she exclaimed, "Found it." She held up a green gem in the air. It was indeed the soul-gathering pill. Jang Pyeong approached, crouched down, and looked at the orb in Ryu Susun's hand, asking, "Soul-gathering pill, what is this? It smells so fragrant." Ryu Susun glanced around carefully and explained, "This is a creation of a certain organization. It's a tool used to control mutant beasts." She began to ponder. There's a woman who can control a venomous serpent and a lion with a long horn on its head. It's the Ju family controlling the beasts. After thinking for a moment, she continued, "So it has appeared indeed. It's said that the soul-gathering pill emits a special fragrance that only little-level mutant beasts can detect. The soul-gathering pill has released a mysterious scent and green light, attracting the white rabbits here. They gather around the soul-gathering pill, growling menacingly. The fragrance draws the mutant beasts to consume it, unlike your gemstone control." She added, "Mutant beasts that consume the soul-gathering pill lose their intelligence and are eventually forcibly tamed. That's also why the leader rabbit has become more ferocious and terrifying than the others in the pack. But how the Ju family manages to control these tame mutant beasts, we still don't know." Ryu Sua firmly held the soul-gathering pill in his hand and said, "This will not be digested, regardless if not cared for. There will definitely be anthropomorphic beasts controlled." Jang Pyeong always stood attentively listening to Ryu Sua speak. Finally, she froze it with ice and shattered it into countless small pieces before dropping them on the ground. In short, the violence of anthropomorphic beasts is likely related to the soul-gathering pill. "I will report back to headquarters," she said to Jang Pyeong, "and whether it's done by the Ju family or not, until it's thoroughly investigated, you will seriously train with me outside the city," she continued. Upon hearing this, Jang Pyeong stood up straight, raised his right hand solemnly, and exclaimed, "Yes." She nodded gently in response. Behind a distant tree, a figure in a black cloak was eavesdropping on the conversation and observing the actions of the two individuals. Ryu Sua seemed to realize this and quickly rushed towards the figure. Jang Pyeong was pushed back, slightly startled and unsteady on his feet. She swiftly moved, a wave of power surging towards the tree, easily causing it to collapse. Jang Pyeong, still puzzled, asked, "How did you do that all of a sudden?" She stared intently at the cut on the base of the tree, only seeing a layer of ice instead of any other strange movements. She turned her head and replied, "It's nothing," but she still thought in her head it was my mistake. A week later, Naksai Yu called a meeting with her subordinates. A fox immediately stepped forward and reported, "Your Highness, all heavenly eternal foxes living in the statue area have been summoned here." As they were meeting, anthropomorphic beasts from another tribe outside were still violently rioting. Naksai Yu thought to herself, the increasing violence of the anthropomorphic beasts must be because of Wang Tekmao. I can't fully rely on him. I have to start taking action. After thinking, she stood up and said, "Surely you all know that recently humans have found a way to eliminate spiritual control, causing harm to our tribe. In the past week, I discovered our kind being killed mainly around the statue area. Those of you living near the statue area are likely the next targets. I want you all to create some disturbances together so that humans think you have found a clue to want to escape, thus prompting them to act sooner. Take it as bait." A heavenly eternal fox expressed concern, saying, "This." Naksai Yu exuded a deadly aura and shouted loudly, "I, on the other hand, want to see who the other party really is." Everyone all shouted in unison, "Understood." At this moment, somewhere in the forest, Jang Pyeong was still crazily killing monsters to level up, taking advantage of the night to eliminate a large number of venomous rabbits. When it was dawn, the system immediately announced, "Nightwalker has expired." The rabbits now saw Jang Pyeong and began to counterattack. Jang Pyeong thought to himself, "After a week of killing rabbits, I have simultaneously reached level 6. I still completely understand their weaknesses and attack patterns. First, neutralize their long-range attacks, provoke them. After being provoked, they will use acid to cover their bodies and approach for close combat. The acid can be easily ignited, but the burning time is very short and not life-threatening. If I use the scales of the scarlet snake as fuel, it can continue to burn until the rabbit turns to ashes. I call it the Fire Eater Scarlet Snake, but let's forget about it. Fire is the nemesis of poison, so this group of rabbits can easily be defeated by the protagonist. The scales of the scarlet snake that he has collected recently have been used up this time, and after defeating so many monsters this time, he will surely level up. Appraisal. Jang Pyeong was delighted to see the assessment results. Indeed, I have advanced 1 level. Level increased to level 7, attribute increased by 1, surpassing the level to kill many enemies outside. All attributes except limits increased by 1. Current attributes: physical strength 24, unlimited mental strength, strength 25, agility 29. Contract gemstone level increased by 1. Going up to level 5 will be launched. Contract gemstone also upgraded. Jang Pyeong created a blue gemstone. The level of the contract gemstone is not synchronized with my own level after advancing 2 levels to level 6. The gemstone is still at level 4 because the contract gemstone is increasingly difficult to upgrade. I hope this time will awaken my combat capabilities. While Jang Pyeong was pondering, a black bunny corpse appeared behind him, its eyes wide open and emitting a terrifying aura of death. Jang Pyeong turned back in surprise, exclaiming, "This one's not dead." The black rabbit looked unusual. Jang Pyeong immediately unleashed his weapon and said, "No matter how many times, I'm different now." He then charged forward. The black rabbit also rushed at him without hesitation, which amused him. Directly charging in. But instead of being stabbed by Jang Pyeong, it turned into a mist that easily passed through. Jang Pyeong switched his knife to his left hand and thought to himself, "What is this? Maybe I've dealt with too many rabbits and angered spirits. Angry spirits are good, demons are fine too." He swiftly struck with all of his might, "Die for me." Quickly, the rabbit returned to its motionless state. Jang Pyeong wonders when the rabbits acquired this skill. Could it be that they are also being controlled by the soul-gathering pill? After saying that, he immediately cut open the rabbit to check. Indeed, there was something very strange. However, it seemed not to be the soul-gathering pill. Identification failure. After several failed identifications, Jang Pyeong realized that he had not encountered such a difficult object to identify in a long time. Brilliant mist essence, unknown quality, eater essence of the Black Mountain Goat's brilliant mist essence, consuming it would result in unimaginable events. The Black Mountain Goat, but it turned out to be the testicular of the Black Mountain Goat. Consuming it continuously for 3 days and nights without fatigue, the high quality of the testicle made Jang Pyeong work hard to obtain a bit of information. A successful identification, The quality of brilliant mist essence unknown, the energy essence stored in the testicles of the black mountain goat. After use, surprising things will happen. After identifying it, the system immediately played out a scene of a black mountain goat fighting hundreds of anthropomorphic beasts. Despite its superior strength, it still could not withstand such a large number. In the end, it had to choose to unite endlessly with the transformed beast, leaving only one testicle in the hands of the main character. Jang Pyeong thought to himself, the unity has come to an end, and I have a feeling that this gem is similar to the wind gem, a rare artifact. But how can I activate the power of this gem? Directly touching it doesn't work, unlike the previous awakening. Do I really have to swallow this thing? The problem is it belongs to that black jade of the Black Mountain. Quite nauseating. At this moment, Jang Pyeong remembered the scenes of being oppressed by the heavenly eternal fox, how he was killed by it when he was young and unable to do anything about it. He then said, "You are even weaker than an ant. What right do you have to choose?" Thinking quickly, Jang Pyeong immediately put the testicle into his mouth and swallowed it. A strong negative emotion washed over his body. A severe headache caused him to scream in pain, recalling the image of So Jong-gyo embracing him, then turning into a mask after being killed by the heavenly eternal fox. In that moment, So Jong-gyo's voice echoed, "Jang Pyeong, agree with me. No matter what failures you may face, you must keep on living." Seeing the smile and tears of So Jong-gyo, Jang Pyeong immediately regained his composure and tried to reassure himself. "So Jong-gyo, you can rest assured I will not die before killing all those fox spirits." Successfully appraised, Jang Pyeong summoned the owner Jang Pyeong, human race, awakener primary level, level 7, maturity value 6 stars, physical strength 26, agility 29, unlimited mental strength, gemstone contract talent level 5, activated supplementary effect level 5, body of radiant mist primary, able to transform into mist to control creatures' fears, mist reserves 20 out of 100. Each point consumed increases mist entities' attack and defense by 10%. Up to 1,000 entities can be created at current level. Jang Pyeong was amazed by his new talent. This talent is for combat, offense, and defense. It seems the power is related to the amount of mist consumed. My maturity value has increased by 3 stars in an instant. The body of radiant mist is so powerful. At this moment, our male lead suddenly shed tears, crying and saying, "Haha, damn it. Why am I showing this expression? Not satisfied, happy, tense, uncomfortable. Who knows, in short, revenge for So Jong-gyo will come very soon." As Jang Pyeong was talking to himself, a group of people approached curiously and asked, "Are you okay, brother?" Another person urged, "We still have to go, don't make a fuss." "Yes, since there are no mute meats around, let's quickly enter the city." The man still expressed concern for Jang Pyeong and asked again, "Brother?" Jang Pyeong slowly stood up, and an extremely eerie black mist suddenly spread around them, glanced at them and said, "I'm fine." Before he could finish speaking, the whole group ran away in panic, shouting, "Demon, there's a demon, ah, ah." At the same time, the fog level also increased from 20 to 35 points. Seeing this, Jang Pyeong was amazed and said, "Could it be that I can absorb others' fear and transform it into fog? This fog gives me a sense of not being real fog. Even energy is not calculated, but the fog's form can change according to my will." As he spoke, Jang Pyeong transformed into claws, then into a sword. "Just don't know how powerful it is. Let's try the lowest level of damage." He then used a point of mist to chop towards the ancient tree, splitting it in half. Using only a reserve of mist that's strong already, the ancient tree fell on Jang Pyeong. Immediately, he chopped it into thousands of small pieces in an instant. Interestingly, it could cut and resist attacks. The effect of this mist was not small. If used properly, Body of Radiant Mist will be his trump card to deal with high-level mutant beasts. Next, continue to assist the cleaning team. Go into the forest to exterminate monsters to become stronger. Jang Pyeong stood still staring at his hand. Ryu Sua ran from afar and shouted loudly, "Jang Pyeong!" She quickly ran past him. Activating her technique ready to fight, Ryu Sua stood in front of him, looking around carefully. "Have you encountered the mist mutant beast? Where is it?" Jang Pyeong laughed and scratched his head. Recalling this scene had happened before and thought to himself, "This familiar scene reminds me of her in the past." He awkwardly explained, "Sasa, actually it's like this." After hearing Jang Pyeong's explanation, Ryu Sua was extremely shocked, didn't believe what she heard and asked again, "What? Have you eaten brilliant mist essence?" Ryu Sua yelled angrily in Jang Pyeong's face, continuously blaming him. "Jang Pyeong, are you criticizing yourself for living too long? Eating things of unknown origin? Do you know you almost died?" Jang Pyeong dared not argue back, just smiled gently and thoughtfully. "I don't think it's that serious. I use the appraisal technique." He reassured her. It's okay. If there really is a problem, you can order yourself to vomit it out. Ryu Sua glared at him in anger and scoffed. What do you rely on to think you can vomit it out? She summoned a tape in her hand and then turned back seriously to ask him, have you ever thought it might be a parasite? Jang Pyeong's face turned slightly pale as he curiously asked, Sasa, do you mean what you ate is actually something very dangerous? Ryu Sua furrowed her brows and explained, Mutant Mist is a creature of unknown origin. She carefully analyzed. They do not have a specific form, usually parasitizing on other creatures. A black squirrel and the rabbit carcass you mentioned are probably puppets of a mutant mist. It will crawl into the host's orifices waiting for a new host after the host dies. The main point Ryu Sua emphasized. The key is that the mutant mist fog can control the hosted infects. Jang Pyeong, shocked, no longer looked as confident as before, silently wondered, so isn't the fog in some kind of agreement with me? He thought carefully in silence. When I consumed the brilliant mist essence earlier, I felt intense pain. Is it because the fog was trying to take control of my body? He voiced his concern. If I haven't done anything, does that mean the parasitic attempt failed? Ryu Sua wasn't sure of the answer and shook his head slightly. I don't know. You're very special. Maybe there's a monster inside you, which is why you were able to defeat the mutant mist fog. Or perhaps it's because you have absolute control over yourself. So even if you were parasitized, it wouldn't affect you. Suddenly, she leaned close to his face and teased him with a smile. In the end, if I discover something strange about you, I'll just have to chop you. Jang Pyeong, frightened, quickly apologized. I was wrong. Just then, a cute spider unexpectedly dropped down between them, opening its eyes wide and saying, surprise, haha. Ryu Sua looked at the huge spider in front of her in shock, summoning her sword and shouting loudly, spider. Ryu Sua panicked and swung her sword erratically, almost hitting Jang Pyeong, who managed to dodge in time while she continued to yell, there's a very big spider. She rushed to hug him tightly, her face slightly flushed. Quickly, get rid of it. Hurry up. Jang Pyeong gently stroked her hair and chuckled softly, still afraid of insects like that, just like when you were young. He remembered the time when they were still children. Ryu Sua was reading a book under a tree when Jang Pyeong ran up excitedly. Sister Sua, look what I caught. He eagerly held the bug and brought it close to Ryu Susa's face, causing her to scream in fear and wave her hands. Quickly take it somewhere else. The bug, frightened, flew away, leaving Jang Pyeong looking sad as his newfound friend ran off, saying sadly, you just caught my friend and now you scared it away. Ryu Sua gently patted his head. Silly, many people in orphanages can be your friends. Why you go catching bugs to be friends with? Jang Pyeong looked sad and said quietly, one day they will all leave the orphanage. What will I do then? She hugged him and promised, I promise to be your friend, no matter what happens in the future. Upon hearing this, Jang Pyeong asked happily, really? Don't deceive me. Ryu Sua smiled. We pinky promise. Up to the present time, Jang Pyeong still gently embraced Ryu Sua until she calmed down. Ryu Sua only realized she was being held by him. Her face turned completely red. She panicked and used her freezing magic on him. Why are you hugging me so tightly? Ryu Sua composed herself, dispelled the ice on him, and turned away to avoid this awkward situation. Jang Pyeong, in the wilderness, any object of unknown origin contains unknown dangers. There is no free lunch in this world. Although you were lucky to escape this time, in the future, when facing such objects, you must stay vigilant. She pulled her hair behind her ears and turned back to look at him like an older sister. Remember that very well. Jang Pyeong nodded in response. Yes. He looked at her for a while and smiled to himself. I always thought that after Seista joined the cleaning team, she became colder, keeping her distance from me. Now it seems that she hasn't changed at all, still caring for me just like before, just not wanting to show it. Suddenly, Ryu Sua's communicator beeped with a red signal. She quickly picked it up to listen to the message on the other end. After hearing it, she was shocked. Why is it like this? Okay, I understand. She turned away in the opposite direction and informed him. My investigation mission and your special training end here. We have to return to Myeongju. Jang Pyeong looked at her hurried look curiously. What happened? Ryu Sua said, Team leader Kim Pat was seriously injured by the heavenly eternal fox. I have to go to the city hospital immediately. Jang Pyeong was surprised to hear, even he. Wait, why don't we ask for help from the outside city investigation team or support from other cities? Ryu Sua explained. Then we will stir up trouble. Moreover, the world outside the city is extremely complex. I will explain to you on the way. Jang Pyeong and Ryu Sua quickly returned to the city. On the way back, they talked about the situation outside the city. I don't know when mutant started to rampage to survive. Humans had to build a protective wall. Due to traffic congestion inside the city, they rely on the investigation team and a Wagner to explore the map. Currently based on the intelligence of the investigation team, the area with villages and wild man has fewer mutant meest than around the city of Myeongju, which is further away on the other side of the coast because there are high-level mutant meest on the sea. So for now, the investigation cannot continue. Not sure if there are other cities still existing. What is on the other side of the sea? They entered the city. Ryu Sua asked, "What is the current situation in the city now?" The guy in Kim Pa's team reported, "These days we have completely controlled the situation of the city Myeongju. Have not found any differences in Heavenly Eternal Fox until last night." He sighed and continued, "The Street of Craftsmen also has the Heavenly Eternal Fox mid-level group infiltrating. We arrived for battle unsuspecting it was a trap. The enemy leader was also there, and the Kimpa group leader was heavily injured while protecting us as we retreated. Now the team leader's intention is for you to temporarily take over the position for Kimpa, ensuring the safety of Myeongju City." Ryu Sua nodded. "I understand." After finishing his meal, Jang Pyeong offered, "Do you need my help?" Ryu Sua looked at him and replied, "No, Yuko the soul of Iron Will. I will come find you when I have time." Jang Pyeong obeyed. Okay. Watching Ryu Sua and the Kimpa team leave, he silently hoped, "I hope both Kimpa and Sua can be safe." Jang Pyeong yawned and stretched. "Finally, I can relax. These past few days have been exhausting." As he walked down the street, he heard the voices of people shopping nearby. "I want this." Jang Pyeong looked over and muttered, "I wonder how Wang Jiulmin is training the warrior Beast King." A leaf fell rustlingly past him, causing him to stop in his tracks. He glanced at the shopkeeper he had just passed, only to see them standing frozen in place. Puzzled, he thought, why are they not moving? Suddenly, a stranger appeared in front of him and said, "Brother." Startled, Jang Pyeong turned around and asked loudly, "Who are you?" He ordered the system in his head, appraisal. The system continuously appraised but failed every time, until the 66th attempt when it finally succeeded. The opponent used their genius to hide their identity so he could only see them as human. He was stunned for a moment. What attribute is this? The strange man spoke up, "Can't see. Still wants to evaluate my abilities, but still need to praise you a bit. One can only use the appraisal technique less than 10 times a day, but you can use it unlimited." Jang Pyeong was confused, ordered himself to resist the appraisal. Of course, it's unlimited weight. How does he know? He hesitantly asked, "Old man, why are you looking for me?" He held a weapon in hand and entered a fighting stance, continuously evaluating his opponent in his head. This old man looks normal, but the aura he emits makes people shiver. Whoever approaches has no good intentions. The old man stood silently and asked, "Are you going to fight me?" The mysterious old man stood provocatively beside him. "Why haven't you attacked yet?" Jang Pyeong didn't attack. "I have no reason to fight you." The old man chuckled. "To become stronger, you need a reason." The old man immediately spoke a sentence that pierced Jang Pyeong's pain. In that case, he said he would avenge So Jang-gyo. Just kidding. Jang Pyeong was hit right in the heart. He quickly rushed forward with his anger. He said again to see. He slashed at the old man, but the old man dodged in time, leaving a crack in the spot where he had just slashed. He was surprised to see a crack in time. Jang Pyeong quickly turned back, preparing to unleash a move while analyzing the opponent's attack in his head. No, it's the skill of time that suddenly appeared behind him. He punched towards the old man, but the old man blocked it with just one hand, commenting, "The speed still needs improvement." Jang Pyeong calmly said, "So what?" Making the old man suspicious, Jang Pyeong secretly hid his other hand behind him and used firepower, quickly launching a fire eater illusion to confuse the opponent. Unexpectedly, the old man became transparent, rendering his attack completely ineffective. He muttered to himself, "Something seems off." The blurry figure in the distance turned out to be the old man, who had used a decoy. "You've been attacking for so long, now it's my turn." Jang Pyeong was somewhat surprised. It was actually a clone. Sadu swung his sword towards him, but he quickly dodged. This time it was a water element, thousands of swords constantly rushing towards him without stopping, forcing him to quickly turn and run. Jang Pyeong looked back at his opponent and thought, "Damn, how many more skills does he have?" He muttered, "Truly a monster." Jang Pyeong turned around and stopped with his foot, using a little mist to create a thick black airstream in his hand. The black mist quickly turned into a solid shield that blocked the old man's swords coming at him. Jang Pyeong rushed towards the old man, determined to take a risk. He could only try that move. The old man's attacks kept hitting the shield, causing a loud banging sound. He slowly retracted the shield while planning in his head. First attack to create an opening. Jang Pyeong's shot missed towards the old man. Taking advantage of that, he swiftly rushed forward. Then, seizing the opportunity, he used Nightwalker for a sneak attack. The old man saw his attack and smiled dismissively. Clever, but unfortunately, your strength is still not enough. Jang Pyeong was startled as a large beam of light hit his face, causing him to shut one eye. The old man emitted a bright light that pushed Jang Pyeong far away. He fell heavily down to the ground, hitting his head on the curb, the pain making him cry out in agony. Jang Pyeong wanted to sit up, but his body couldn't move at all. The old man praised him a little. To have such strength at your level is considered rare. Jang Pyeong lay still on the ground, lamenting in his heart. To still have the willpower, cheating too much. The old man contemptuously turned away. Only then could Jang Pyeong sit up. I can move now. He looked at the person in front of him and thought to himself, how much effort was spent on testing myself, the power surpassing even Kimpa and Sasa, such a strong person in the city. I count only the leader of the cleaning team. Both quickly arrived at a certain cafe to talk. Jang Pyeong knew the strength of the other party, so he respectfully greeted, how should I address you? The old man smiled slyly. The name is for others to call. You can call me anything. You really don't know who I am. Jang Pyeong thought in his head, it seems like the cleaning team has all the information about me, but what is the purpose of Sa-du Saibak meeting me in this way? He asked, Sa-du, old sir, this time you came too. Sa-du calmly drank tea and reminded Jang Pyeong, Jang Pyeong, before trying to stop others from reading your thoughts, it's best not to think too much. Jang Pyeong was startled when the old man could read his thoughts, so Sa-du explained why he came to see him. I've been around for 200 years now, and there haven't been any limitless powers appearing in Myeongju City, so you saying I might not see it is incorrect. Jang Pyeong, surprised and skeptical, asked the old man, are you saying I have limitless powers? What is limitless power? Isn't the peak of human talent and rank the highest level? Sa-du elaborated for him. Even though supernatural abilities may be strong, a person's lifetime awakening can only achieve one. But limitless power is different. It can neutralize an infinite number of talents and continually awaken new talents. Sa-du looked serious and said to him, I'm very curious about this matter. I wonder if your understanding of limitless power can restore your gemstone contract power. Jang Pyeong and Sa-du sat down to talk, and the old man added, of course, I won't experiment in vain. Whatever the result may be, I will give you a gift, and I will answer all your questions. Jang Pyeong immediately asked, can I refuse? Sa-du presented a sparkling bracelet in a box. Of course, but why didn't you first look at my gift? Seeing Jang Pyeong being attracted to the item, the old man explained, this bracelet is known as the golden treasure, an equipment that I often use in my youth to store. A saving skill, you surely understand what that means. Jang Pyeong's eyes lit up, eagerly observing this precious item. Mr. Sa-du, you are truly generous. He thought to himself, storage space is just what I need. Seeing him agree to the deal, the old man raised his hand, his hands emitting a blue light. Give me your hand. Jang Pyeong reached out his hand, the blue flame immediately enveloping their hands. After a while, Sa-du closed his eyes and meditated for a long moment before opening his eyes and withdrawing his hand. Jang Pyeong, confused, also withdrew his hand and asked the old man to make sure. So it's over, right? Sa-du affirmed. It's over, I can't copy your abilities. Even the talent that arose also failed to copy. It seems you are very special. Sa-du kept his promise and pushed the box containing the bracelet towards him. All right, from now on it's yours. Jang Pyeong happily accepted. Thank you, Mr. Sa-du. As soon as he touched the ring, it immediately emitted a strange light that left him astonished. The system window popped up with a notification. Appraisal successful. Replaying the scene of a young woman tightly bound, covered in blood, quickly appeared. He muttered, is this the manufacturing process of this ring? A figure poured a bucket of liquid solution onto the unfortunate woman, causing her to scream in agony, while others surrounded her chanting incessantly. Jang Pyeong observed this scene with some discomfort. These special equipments are all made using human lives in exchange. He sadly looked at the exquisitely crafted ring made from human sacrifice. Such actions are too cruel. After watching, Jang Pyeong looked up at the old man. Sa-du, sir, are the manufacturing processes of all special equipment so cruel? Sa-du sipped his tea leisurely and recounted 200 years ago they were all like this. Even though it is now prohibited, there are still lawbreakers who use people as tools in the dark. I originally wanted to destroy this object, but if you can use it properly to eliminate the wicked and help the good, then the soul of this tool can rest in peace. Jang Pyeong asked sadly about the past. 200 years ago, how was the city of Myeongju, where human lives were treated like trash everywhere? Sa-du placed the teacup on the table. That's right. The old man began to tell. 200 years ago, the ruling family of the Ju clan dominated the city of Myeongju. The image of the ancestors of the Ju clan appeared with a cruel look. The old man said, all the people in Myeongju were slaves of the Ju clan. They had no future, no hope. The scene of elderly men carrying heavy loads appeared. Men worked hard day and night, but could only earn a little food. An unfortunate woman was surrounded by many men preparing to commit a heinous act. Women with some beauty were chosen as concubines of the Jew clan, becoming toys for the playboy sons of the Jew clan. Children were forced to learn depraved ideas. All the children were gathered in one place day and night, immersed in the ideology of sacrificing themselves for the Jew clan, while the elderly unable to work were used as livestock feed for the mutant beasts bred by the Jew clan. At that time, once someone awakened, if not controlled and tortured, they would become materials for making equipment. After Sedu finished telling, his heart was boiling with excitement, because the Jew family's beasts have done so many evil deeds. The warriors quietly accumulated energy, eventually cooperating to overthrow the Jew family's rule. Jang Pyeong saw Sedu had finished his tea and stood up to pour more for the old man. So that's how it is. Sedu looked at him. Any more questions? Jang Pyeong continued his curiosity. Sedu, sir, with your abilities, why didn't you take action against Wal Wangjia and free the city once again? Sedu explained, it's not that I didn't take action, but that I couldn't take action. You might misunderstand that the defenses of Myeongju City are weak, not even knowing when the heavenly eternal fox invaded, but that's wrong. In fact, this city's defense system is quite perfect, as revealed by the investigation team. The old man delved into his explanation. In the suburbs, there is an investigation team conducting research and driving away mutant beasts near the city gate, and a cleaning team dealing with mutant beasts in the darkness. And besides that, within the city, there is the divine weapon, sovereign of sun and moon Myeongju, within the range of which all creatures are reduced to level 40 or below. In other words, even if a mutant beast of royal level invades, it will be reduced to the highest level. Sedu stood up and turned, preparing to leave, saying, moreover, I am indeed the strongest, without a doubt, standing at the pinnacle. He paused. But now, Jang Pyeong quickly stood up and asked, Mr. Sedu, are you implying that there is a spy in the city? Sedu complimented him on his intelligence and turned back to look at him. After the city lord disappeared in Myeongju, apart from me, there were only the remnants of the Jew family's beast tamers left. They know how to create divine weapons. Jang Pyeong recalled the image of anthropomorphic beasts tearing at innocent civilians and clenched his teeth in anger. The Jew family's beast tamers seal off Myeongju and then release the heavenly eternal fox into the city. Recently, the anthropomorphic beasts gathering and causing riots are also related to them. Why didn't we completely eliminate those people at that time? Sedu sighed and said, after overthrowing the Jew family's rule, we have been trying to eradicate the remaining remnants. But how can we completely eliminate weeds? They have been rooted in Myeongju for hundreds of years. Their roots run deep and are unpredictable. Jang Pyeong clenched his fists, trembling. Too many questions were arising in his mind. Indeed, there are too many suspicious points regarding the heavenly eternal fox's infiltration this time. What is the Jew family's purpose with their beast tamers? Is the city lord still alive or dead? What caused the mutant beast riots? What abilities does the ruler of the heavenly eternal fox clan possess? Jang Pyeong watched Sedu leave and answer the questions he had just thought of. These questions had no answers. Sedu sighed, we must be extremely cautious in our actions. Otherwise, if he falls into the enemy's trap and ends up fighting to the death, the city of Myeongju will be beyond saving, just like in the last war. Nuclear weapons are merely a threat. We cannot act rashly until it's crucial. Even though Wal Wangjia constantly provokes and kills, anyone can be stirred up, but only Sedu Saibak must not. At that moment, Sedu spoke up, although I cannot replicate your abilities, we need you. He turned around, extending his hand in a gesture to shake hands with him. Brother Jang Pyeong, will you agree to join the clean team? Sedu waited silently for his agreement. Jang Pyeong immediately shook his hand without hesitation, his eyes filled with determination. Jang Pyeong declared loudly, I agree. In the soul of Ironwolf Forge, the continuous sound of weapon forging mixed with murmurs in the dark night. Wang Jidol Min curiously asked Chu Hayang, Sister Hayang, why are you suddenly repairing equipment? Chu Hayang replied while working, since I have some free time these days, I'm doing a bit of maintenance. Wang Jidol Min watched her and wondered, it's been a few days. I wonder when Jang Pyeong will return. Chu Hayang listened to Jang Pyeong's concern and teasingly stopped. Ha, so you remember him. No wonder you've been so absent-minded these days. Wang Jiolmin blushed and stuttered, explaining, No, it's just that no one has been training me in martial arts these days, so Her face flushed. Wang Jiolmin looked elsewhere and mumbled, I wonder how he's doing outside the city if he's encountered any danger. Chu Hayang stood behind her, constantly teasing, See, do I resemble that little bride at all? And you said you don't remember him. Annoyed by the teasing, Wang Jiolmin covered her ears and refused to listen, murmuring in denial. I. Having had enough of teasing, Chu Hayang picked up a knife and headed towards the water pump. All right, I won't tease you anymore. She carefully placed the knife in the water to cool it down, then said, actually, the villages outside the city and areas without amusement have all been marked for danger. As long as Jang Pyeong doesn't venture into those places, he should be safe. Curious, Wang Jiolmin asked, there are villages outside my own Ju city. Wiping the sweat off her forehead, Chu Hayang smiled lightly at her. Of course, those villages are often closed off, conservative, and superstitious, with many anthropomorphic beast spirits roaming around. The image of a person being sacrificed alive in flames appears, surrounded by worshippers kneeling. Chu Hayang warns, if you've ever come across a village in the wilderness, it's best to avoid them and keep moving, or else you might be captured and become a slave or a sacrifice. Wang Jiolmin innocently asks, they are all human, so we can probably interact with them, right? Chu Hayang laughs dreadfully, her expression changing as she speaks seriously. In essence, they are not considered human. In the wilderness, the most dangerous beings are not you beasts, but wild men. Wang Jiolmin startles with a bit of fear, and suddenly a strange black mist appears behind Chu Hayang, still unaware and threatening Wang Jiolmin. They have people who like to wear eerie masks, quietly standing behind me. The dark mask of fog inches closer to the two. Wang Jiolmin trembles in fear as he looks back and hesitantly says, Hayang, is what you said similar to that? Chu Hayang turns around, not yet aware of the danger, nonchalantly responds, it's somewhat similar. It's only when the shadow comes closer, revealing a terrifying face, that Chu Hayang jerks back, wide-eyed, to look. In the midst of that fog, it was Jang Pyeong who raised both hands to threaten both girls. Wang Jiolmin was frightened and tears welled up as he screamed. Chu Hayang did not run away, but instead kicked him straight in that spot. Jang Pyeong staggered in pain, feeling the pain slowly spreading throughout his body, so intense that his soul seemed to leave his body. A few minutes later, Jang Pyeong felt a little less pain, but he was still sweating profusely due to the lingering pain. He reassured himself, pretending as if nothing had happened. Jang Pyeong said repeatedly, Sister Hayang, your technique is too unique. Chu Hayang stood in front of Wang Jiolmin and asked loudly, who are you? Jang Pyeong trembled, his legs tightened, his hands clenched that spot. He took off his mask and forced a smile. It's me, Jang Pyeong. Wang Jiolmin and Chu Hayang were both surprised and breathed a sigh of relief. Chu Hayang walked over to greet Jang Pyeong by hitting him hard on the head. You little rascal, you come back without a word, pretending to be a ghost or demon to scare us. Jang Pyeong laughed awkwardly. I just arrived and heard you two talking about the wild man in the village, so I wanted to add some excitement for you too. Didn't expect you to turn around and hit me. After greeting Chu Hayang, she went to her clothes and prepared to put on and leave. I can consider myself trained like this. Jang Pyeong nodded. Yes, next I will stay in the city to strengthen my own strength. Chu Hayang happily put on her fabric jacket. It's just in time. I just found a clue related to San San today. Before leaving, she turned back and reminded, I am also preparing for a trip outside the city. Mr. Ryu is relying on you. Jang Pyeong hastily asked, why are you leaving so urgently? Chu Hayang waved and left without forgetting to tease Wang Jiolmin. No one is like someone waiting for me day after day like a lost soul. I won't bother you anymore. Jang Pyeong was puzzled, while Wang Jiolmin blushed. Seeing Chu Hayang leaving, she also shyly walked quickly to the door. It's not early anymore. I'm going back to rest in my room. As she reached the door, she hesitated and stopped. Wang Jiolmin called out, Jang Pyeong. He curiously replied. Wang Jiolmin smiled at him gently. May you return safely. Jang Pyeong felt warm, smiled back, and waved goodbye to her, thinking to himself, I've been in this world for so long. This is the first time I've felt like home. Suddenly, Ryu Sua appeared out of nowhere, making him jump in surprise. He looked at him incredulously and muttered, Everyone has gone back to their rooms. Why are you still standing here laughing foolishly? Ryu Sua asked for a favor. Tomorrow morning, I will go find Chu Hayang. Tell her that I am seriously ill, and ask her not to go out anymore. Jang Pyeong looked worriedly at Uncle Ryu. Uncle! Ryu Sua smashed his cigarette against his head forcefully and said, Don't look at me like that. I'm not foolish or sick. I'm just pretending. Jang Pyeong rubbed his head in pain. So, Uncle, he explained, San San has been missing for a long time, mostly likely encountering some trouble. Ryu Sua sat down on the chair. With Chu Hayang's abilities, you know best, she wants to investigate San San's disappearance, but you are worried she will be in danger, so you have to pretend to prevent her from taking risks. Jang Pyeong understood and lowered his voice. Uncle Ryu, after finishing his cigarette, Ryu Pyeong continued. That kid values loyalty. Once she has doubts in her heart, she will think a lot and not easily accept risks. Jang Pyeong chuckled nervously. Uncle Ryu, you can through a lot. He struck the cigarette holder hard to flick the ash off. In the field of forging, I have a natural talent, but Chu Hayang does not know how to teach anyone and is not particularly concerned with forging, so there are quite a few mistakes. In the next few days, I will teach you the harmonizing disintegration technique properly. Ryu Pyeong pointed straight at his cigarette holder. Although our technique is not considered a secret, it is the exclusive skill of the Ryu family, so you must learn it diligently from me. Jang Pyeong tightly held his hand with a determined face. Yes, I will not fail your expectations, Ryu. A mysterious blue smoke appeared, a girl's voice faintly echoed in his mind. Jang Pyeong, Jang Pyeong. It's So Jong-gyo, cheering him with a bright smile. It's me, keep going, I'm waiting for you. He looked at her and whispered, So Jong-gyo. Jang Pyeong watched the smoke gradually fade away, leaving a shiny green feather on the floor. According to Jang Pyeong later on, Chu Hayang did not go outside the city as Ryu Pyeong instructed. Ryu Pyeong also secretly taught him the harmonizing disintegration technique. Ryu Pyeong sat leisurely smoking while making predictions. I sensed the risk of lung cancer. Chu Hayang stood listening with a furrowed brow, then stopped smoking. Jang Pyeong came up with a way to control the fog with the harmonizing disintegration technique, turning the fog into a more precise form. During training with Wang Jidol-min, he realized that Wang Jidol-min had mastered the first 3 techniques of the Elemental King technique. After hearing So Jong-gyo's voice, Jang Pyeong doubted her survival and decided to find evidence. After confirming that there was no heavenly eternal fox in the forge, Jang Pyeong thought of another possibility. He decided to remove So Jong-gyo's mask to find the answer, and after 3 days, he discovered a stranger quietly entering their home and quickly opening the bedroom door, where a sleeping girl was still asleep. The creepy stranger creeped closer to the girl who was sound asleep. He grabbed her blanket and forcefully pulled it away to reveal her pale body. The stranger grinned heavily. I've heard for a long time the So family's daughter has a gentle beauty, femininity, smooth skin, and a beautiful face. He used his dirty hand to gently stroke the girl's skin. Today, I will taste it fresh to see if rumors are true. At that moment, a dark mist slowly seeped into the room, along with a chilling voice, Jang So-byeong. The stranger was startled and turned around to shout, Who's there? In the mist, Jang Pyeong continued to reveal information about him. Jang So-byeong, also known as Teddy Short Legs, height 150 centimeters, ugly appearance, despicable. Hearing his own secrets being exposed, he panicked and screamed in all directions, Who's there? The shadow behind him became more apparent, unloved by girls, gradually becoming twisted and perverted in mind in the past 10 years, causing the death of countless girls. I am not wrong. Jang So-byeong angrily shouted, Who are you? Jang Pyeong replied, I am here to take your life as ordered. Jang So-byeong's face immediately paled, and he frantically ran away, thinking to himself, all the So family members have been drugged by me before fainting. That's right. Jang So-byeong ran as fast as he could, but the dense fog kept following him. He wondered, is this really a human or a demon? The mist turned into sharp needles that stabbed his feet, causing Jang So-byeong to lose balance and fall forward. Jang Pyeong approached closer. Still on the struggle, Jang So-byeong tightly pressed his wound to prevent bleeding. He was so scared that he almost urinated in his pants, stammering, You, don't come over here. He trembled in fear as he looked up at him as if he had just encountered a demon. Finally, Jang So-byeong fainted. Jang Pyeong walked over and kicked his foot. You thought the serial killer was a ruthless character, but he fainted. He thought to himself, this should count as completing the first task after joining the team. Jang Pyeong removed his mask. It's done. Let's hand him over to someone else to deal with. The appraisal system received the successful appraisal order. Jang So-byeong's information immediately appeared in detail from his name to his skills. Jang Pyeong boldly read through his comprehensive knowledge of medicinal herbs, able to analyze, determine if items had healing properties, and use them to create illicit drugs, mediocre quality, the mask that Jang So-byeong wore when doing evil deeds, possessing good awakening abilities but choosing to be a villain, truly a degenerate. The notification system quickly replayed the scene where a mother was crawling on the ground, constantly crying and pleading, Please let my daughter go. Jang So-byeong disdainfully kicked the mother aside, causing her to cry out in pain. He continued to mock her, saying, You have taken my medicine, but still cannot be honest like this. If you want to blame someone, blame your husband. If it weren't for him leaving early, I wouldn't have caught both you and your daughter, a novice staff member in the weekly security team, always talking about sacrificing life to protect Myeongju City. This isn't really dying. It's ridiculous. Jang So-beam sneered, but I must thank him for leaving both of you for me. The daughter on the bed cried out in agony, Mom! He grabbed the daughter's neck and stuck out his tongue to lick, causing the girl to scream in terror. He reassured her, Don't rush. Wait for me to finish playing with you and then I will send you to meet him. Jang So-beam chuckled evilly. You all are my toys. Behind him, countless souls of innocent women continued to wail in agony. Jang Pyeong's face darkened after watching, freezing for a moment. At that moment, Jang So-beam also woke up, saw that he was not paying attention, prepared to use his trick. He used sleeping powder, sprayed directly on him, and then laughed triumphantly. Jang So-beam kept flaunting proudly. Where did this little brat come from to ruin my good plans? That medicine is enough to defeat a large mutant beast. Wait until you fall asleep, and I will torture you thoroughly. Jang Pyeong was not affected at all. He tightened his fist and glared at him. You villain! Jang So-beam, seeing that he was not affected, panicked. What? Why is it not working? He thought to himself, could it be because of the rain? Without letting him think further, Jang Pyeong used his move to cut off his hand. In the continuous thunder, there were also screams of pain from Jang So-beam. He hugged his hand tightly, trembling in fear and crying. Jang Pyeong did not relent and continued to use his technique. This sword is for the mothers who sacrificed their lives to protect their daughters. He emitted a thick purple aura. 3 small swords appeared in his hand, muttering to himself, This sword is for the girls who would rather die than surrender. Jang Pyeong then unleashed thousands of continuous dagger attacks, causing Jang So-beam to scream helplessly, his body covered in life-threatening wounds, screams echoing continuously. But he did not stop and continued to attack. This sword is to honor the hero of the patrol team. Just then, he kept slashing continuously as the heavy rain poured down incessantly. This was because he was thinking about that righteous detective. Thunder roared loudly, but Jang Pyeong did not stop his hand. This was to commemorate the unknown awakeners. After a while, Jang So-beam's whole body was disabled. Both legs were broken and he could not walk. One hand was injured and likely unusable. He cried and cursed incessantly. You madman, you are a madman. Jang Pyeong stood in the fog. With his current skills, if treated in time, he could still be saved. I give you a chance. Jang Pyeong pointed towards the gate. If you can step out of that big door, I will spare you. Jang Pyeong still did not completely forgive him as he thought to himself, Jang So-beam, you brought despair to those people, I will repay you tenfold. Jang Pyeong pointed towards the door and warned Jang So-beam, remember, this is your last chance. Jang So-beam, still full of life, smirked, showing no remorse. He used one hand to crawl towards the door while plotting in his mind. Once I am healed, I will make you pay. I will turn you into 100 pieces. Ha ha ha. He thought of the scene of the women he had violated, then laughed twistedly, secretly cheering himself on. I can't die here. There are still so many beautiful girls in this world that I haven't had enough of. Jang So-beam was getting closer to the door, just a little more. He laughed brightly, reaching out and pushing the door. Just need to open this door, just need to leave here. His hand trembled as he couldn't reach the handle, thinking to himself, there's only a little more left. Jang So-beam lost patience and kept hitting the door hard, constantly cursing, Dan it, Dan, Dan, Dan. Jang Pyeong slowly walked to the door. You will never be able to open it in your lifetime. He clenched the mist into a ball in his hand and looked disappointedly at him. You had a chance, but you didn't take it. Jang So-beam, you have failed. Jang So-beam yelled loudly, no. Jang Pyeong instantly attacked to take down his opponent, Scum. The system displayed a notification. By killing a higher level opponent, all attributes have increased. Jang Pyeong stood silent in the rain, not looking happy at all, his eyes filled with sorrow, thinking, I thought killing a heavenly eternal fox would bring peace back to the city of Myeongju, saving everyone. Jang Pyeong looked up to the sky. Those like this really deserve to be saved. Ha, scum, scum who deserve to die. No need to show mercy. Suddenly a voice echoed from nowhere. You are stationed at Hana School. Today is a special day. Seize the opportunity. The voice quickly disappeared. Jang Pyeong looked around in confusion. What? Another Jang So-beam? He pulled out the communication device from his pocket and reported, Captain, the task of the child rapist is done. Also, I heard from the Wind Guardian about the situation near Hana School. Seems like they want to move something. At the cleaning team headquarters, Seo asked in confusion, Hana School? Manny was using her magic to investigate. After a while, she frowned and said, no, cannot sense the situation there. Someone has set up a barrier. Even I cannot probe. Seems like not a normal person. Seo spoke into the communication device. Jang Pyeong, go there first and report the actual situation. I will immediately contact Ryu Sua. Seo reminded, do not act hastily until reinforcements arrive. Jang Pyeong acknowledged the order and quickly ran off. Yes. At Hana School, they were surrounded by dense boundaries, with 3 intruders cautiously venturing further inside. Their leader muttered, "Damn, we've been searching for 15 minutes. Where could John Hackneo hide?" The youngest member sensed something and warned, "Leader, it's not good. Someone entered the boundary." The fat man panicked. "What? Could our actions have been discovered?" The leader reassured, "Nonsense. With dragon stabilizing stone and twin impact of the rising sun protecting us, no one can detect us." The leader thought carefully. If someone has entered the boundary and if they disturb John Hackneok, it would be troublesome. Even if we hide our presence, we can't capture them in front of him. He shouted to his comrades, "Hurry up. Time is running out. We must find her no matter what." His 2 subordinates shouted in agreement, "Yes." Jang Pyeong observed the area and then looked at the dragon object swirling around the column, asking, "What is this? Appraise it." The system notified, "Appraisal failed." He tried again, and on the 3rd attempt, it was successful. The message displayed dragon stabilizing stone, legendary quality with 4 dragon stabilizing stones placed in corresponding positions can form a dragon stabilizing stone boundary, able to cover and break through most boundaries. He exclaimed in surprise, "So, it's a legendary grade item." Notification system. Replaying the image of the manufacturing process of the item. To achieve it required sacrificing many innocent lives. Their blood filled with hatred was boiled down to become the finished product as it is today. Jang Pyeong opened his eyes wide with a slight surprise. A dragon stabilizing stone was also created from human sacrifices, but this has long been banned for public use. Jang Pyeong looked inside through the main door and thought to himself, "They are not like the people of the other 2 organizations. Perhaps they are remnants of the Jew family." Jang Pyeong murmured in his subconscious, "The mythical beasts of the Jew family, it's all because of them." In his mind, a diagram of the events that happened 200 years ago immediately appeared. The Jew family ruled the city of Myeongju and did many evil things, then were overthrown by the 3 organizations 2 months ago. The sovereign of sun and moon disappeared, bringing the heavenly eternal fox into the city half a month ago, gathering mutant beasts outside the city to the Hana School for something. He went to the door and decided to go inside to assess the situation, while constantly thinking to himself, "The Jew family leads the heavenly eternal fox, gathering mutant beasts outside the city. What is their purpose? Perhaps they can find clues through this action." From Jang Pyeong's perspective, he noticed someone approaching, thinking to himself, "It seems like something is going on outside. I have to hide before it's too late." System notification. Nightwalker system activated. Jang Pyeong quickly went inside and closed the door. From the other person's point of view, the leader went outside first and carefully observed around, not finding anything, thinking, "The person who entered the boundary seems to be not here." He turned to reassure his team. "It's probably okay. Deactivate twin impact. Save some energy for emergencies." Once all 3 completed the mission, they quickly left. The leader said, "I'll go collect the dragon stabilizing stone. Can't leave any traces." Jang Pyeong opened the door to observe and gave commands to the monitoring system, then reported the situation through the communication device. Indeed, the enemy is a force of the Jew family, one with investigation skills level 21, one with force test abilities level 17, and another with enchantment abilities level 15. On the other end of the line, the response was acknowledged. The system simultaneously announced successful appraisal. Twin impact of the rising sun may conceal its presence with its own. Jang Pyeong understood implicitly. No wonder they weren't seen earlier. Turns out they used that to hide their presence. But it seems like the energy of this thing is running out. He glanced at the girl behind him. Her attribute panel appeared. She is Jeon Gun-jang. Jang Pyeong thought, that girl is their kidnapping target. The growth value is unbelievable, and her ability simply the evolution of a gemstone contract named Jeon Gun-jang, human race, Hana School forces, growth value of 14 stars, intermediate awakening level 13. God's blood talent, blood in the body can enhance strength with living beings, can influence all strange beasts to become fanatical followers. After the ability is upgraded, it can become a passive skill, and the range of use expanded. Note that those who drink holy blood cannot use abilities, meanwhile, constantly encountering misfortune. Jang Pyeong frowned. The Jew family wants to use her to control someone. No matter what, this girl is innocent. He swore silently that he would never let the Jew family have their way. Thunder continued to rumble. The 3 members of the Jew family suddenly disappeared in an instant. The system announced, detection interrupted. Jang Pyeong suddenly rushed outside, looking around in confusion. They fled, Manny. Where did they go? Can you track them? At the cleaning team's base, Manny was using her powers to investigate. Sensors are working. They're heading outside the city. Judging by their speed, Susab may not catch up. Jang Pyeong spoke over the radio. I will obstruct them. Seju hurriedly intervened. Wait, Jang Pyeong. Don't provoke them. Ensure your own safety first. He persuaded the elder. The Jew family is the crime head of all. We mustn't let them escape. Even if I can't fight back, I can use the mist to delay them and buy time for Sasa. 3 members of the Jew family are running at the fastest speed out of town. The leader sensed something moving in the bushes ahead, so he stopped to observe. Suddenly, a mutant mist beast leaped out of the bushes. The leader found it strange. Why is a mutant mist beast appearing inside the town? Inside the creature was Jang Pyeong disguising himself. He whispered, "Thank goodness for the harmonizing disintegration technique. Mist disguise, not bad, but must be careful, cannot be seen through by the level 20 appraisal technique." The leader assessed the wolf, looks very strong. What level is it? Before he could continue, he shot out sharp spikes that interrupted the assessment. The leader was furious. Damn, it's been interrupted. Jang Pyeong leaped towards the leader, controlling the agile creature prepared to bite him. The leader, not an ordinary person, quickly dodged and shouted to his comrades, "Wang Sam, quickly put it to sleep." Wang Sam received the order to immediately use his power. He opened his eyes wide and commanded, "Stop." The beast opened its eyes widely, its eyes spinning, and Jang Pyeong stopped the attack. Wang Sam sighed, "Good, it's effective now." Inside, Jang Pyeong was not affected at all. He came up with the next plan. My mental power is infinite, so I can be immune to any mental control. I can take advantage of that. He thought to himself, pretend to be controlled by him to narrow the gap. Wang Sam, not knowing anything, approached closer to him, mumbling, "Don't move, don't move." He reached out his hand to familiarize the beast with him first, continuously saying, "Don't move." When Wang Sam approached close enough, he suddenly launched a fierce attack. Now was the time attack. Wang Sam startled and dodged. What? Why move now? The beast suddenly opened its mouth full of sharp teeth and bit Wang Sam fiercely, causing him to scream in pain. Wang Sam panicked and cried for help. "Leader, save me, save me." The leader called out loudly, "Wang Sam." The angry little guy quickly used his power and shouted, "Get out of here." Using his mental power, he separated Jang Pyeong from Wang Sam. Jang Pyeong successfully dodged the attack. The system showed a notification. Level increased to 9. All attributes gain 1 point for killing an opponent above level. All attributes gain 1 more point for visiting. Jang Pyeong silently rejoiced. Success! Next, just need to stop these 2. The small man continued to use the supergravity force within the fog, immediately affected, making him slightly stunned. An invisible force pressed Jang Pyeong down, causing the surrounding ground to sink. Jang Pyeong panicked. Can't get up. He silently thought, it's over, can't move. At this time, the leader successfully verified Jang Pyeong. He read his information. Name Jang Pyeong, level 9, awaken at primary level, also belongs to the Soul of Iron Will and Cleaning Team, unknown ability. The leader grinned wickedly, and yet he's just a human, moreover a rookie at level 9, daring to call himself a hero. The leader declared boldly, "If you are part of Sadu Saibek, then I can't spare your life." Jang Pyeong remembered a little in his mind. This gravity technique Sadu Saibek used on me before. Stay calm. There must be a way to escape.